That is the Commonwealth grasping at straws. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck.
Judges gavel slams to seat. Lawyers dance, twist up their feet. Finger points truth in the air. Crime scene chalk, we got there. Witness falls under the glare. Truth lies hidden, but where? Evidence in shadow cracks. Guilty walks with ducks in packs. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. If it quacks with a smack and waddles in the track, it's stuck. It circles round the facts, can't hide from the luck. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. Twist the tail, they change their tune. Photos snapped under the moon. Bloody prints and muddy paths. Money trails that never last. Defendant's face behind a mask. Justice chained up to the past. Solitary cell they spin. Real truth trapped deep within. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. If it quacks with a smack and waddles in the track, it's stuck. It circles round the facts, can't hide from the luck. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck.
Hello, my friends. How are we all today? Let's get back over to this screen. Thanks for joining us. So, shout out to say hello to everyone. Just Me Gaming, hello. And Strongleg, thanks for joining us. Hidden Metadata, hello. Now, I know that picture, but I can't put it together. You guys change your names and I'm lost. I remember your icon, but I can't remember who you are. Lightning Leaf, hello. You are indeed actually live with me. Hello, Kim. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Hi, Brenda. Welcome to the members. Make it a love button. I love that idea. All right, so I slept through the whole thing again today, so still catching up. But what I did want to do is go through the testimony of the weatherman. So what have I got? I got some funny things to talk about the weatherman. Some people were making some pretty funny jokes about the weatherman online. We're calling him the Snow Daddy, all right? Just so you know, he's the Snow Daddy because he literally supported the defense. Michelle, how's it going, buddy? Good to see ya. Hanky Brennan's Binky. How's it going? Thanks for joining us. Hi, Jess. Hi, Sarah. So, it was snowing. Right, so that's some of the funny things that people are saying. Let me go to oh, where did it go? Where did it go? Don't switch that. Hang on. Ian Runkle. Let me get that up on the screen. It's funny. But let me see if I can, hang on, open it in browser. Let me do that way. And then share this tab. There you go. Ian Runkles was funny. Commonwealth, at the first trial, we spent way too much attention on asking every single witness about the weather. Let's scrap that. Instead, let's call Dr. Weather from the Institute of Snowology. Jury, snowing. Got it. We understand snow. Taxpayers. Oh, fuck. Again. So I thought that was pretty cute. You gotta love Runkle, right? So there was that, which I thought was cute. Oh, Michelle. God damn it. You need to sack your day job. Yeah. Even the weather is suspect in Canton, is what I gathered from his testimony. Oh, no, Kim, that's no good. Well, here's the good thing. The internet's back. We're going to play it. Because we're going to play Robert Alassi cross-examining. So one thing to note is that Brennan basically had him make up a chart from 1 a.m. through to 12 p.m. And that, so I think it's like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. No, hang on, let me think about it now. I think it was like 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. is when the most snow fell. So that's when the heart of the blizzard was over Canton. And it misses the midnight time frame when his chart just doesn't show the midnight time frame. Brennan saying, Karen Reed ran into him in an SUV at 12:30 at night, and then doesn't show a chart for what the snowfall was for 12:30 at night. So you had the guy make up a chart from 1 a.m. onwards, which I thought was obviously bloody mindfuckery from Brennan. So let's share that tab. Let me just check you all can see that tab. Get myself out of the way. Move the comments off the screen. Maximize it so we can see all of it. Were you surprised on the no cross of Nick? Nick. Which one was Nick? Oh, Nicholas Guarino. Hang on. I don't know which one's Nick. Sorry, late Leaf. I have a 3 coffee head start before I remember names of people, especially first names. I can't even remember last names. So nouns are not my favorite. Lieutenant Gallagher, Lieutenant Gilligan. What a klutz. Hi, Erica. Yep, he's a klutz. Nick Guarino. All right, so I've missed Nick Guarino. They're not crossing Nick because if you're talking about Nicholas Guarino, he's coming in to introduce evidence at different periods of time. So if he's coming in and saying, I did the download of so-and-so's phone, I can verify this is so-and-so's phone. What he's doing is he's doing what wasn't done last trial, which is properly introducing evidence. So That's why they're not crossing Nick. When Nick does do something that's worth crossing, then they will ask him, are you sure that you did this download or that you did this, phone extraction or whatever? They'll ask him questions if he comes out and says something that's not correct. So Brennan is trying to make the data look like it's being introduced correctly this time, which it was not done last time. So unless he's an expert of expert esquire. He saw the flaws of an expert meteorologist. No offense to the weatherman. He seems like a nice fellow and genuinely didn't know what he was biting into. He got baited. But what he did prove is actually that the Commonwealth's theory is, especially the taillight theory, is science fiction. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's watch this testimony. Shit, I got all these tabs up. I can't find the freaking tab I'm sharing. Here we go. All right, let's bring that volume down a little so I'm not blown.
Do is to draw your attention to the exhibit that was just marked. If Your Honor, we have that. May I approach, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Gilman, this is Exhibit 64. If I could hand that to you, please.
Thank you.
And you can keep that in front of you. If we could publish. Excuse me, Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
Thank you.
See how this can change not only the air in your home,
Sorry.
but also your health.
I forgot to check that.
Introducing a revolutionary...
Whoops.
If you can enlarge just, no, not the whole thing, just the chart up above and make that as large as you could for the jury, please. That is very good. Thank you. You see where we are. And Mr. Goodman, you can either look on the screen or look on the document, whichever is best for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's start with the top, which is estimated hourly snowfall ending at. This is for January 29th, 2022, correct?
Yes.
And what does not appear on this chart, but I want to make sure I can get this as accurate as possible, would it be appropriate to, before 1 a.m., to add a 0.2 for what you mentioned on direct for midnight? You mentioned there was a little bit starting, and there was a 0.2. Is that correct? Did I hear that correct?
If you want to get the total for the snowfall event, yes.
Okay, so we'll just have, if you will, an imaginary 0.2 up at the top. And what I'm going to do, sir, is I'm going to go through the hourly snowfall, because there are times that
That's
you have
all we
on
needed.
your chart that
We can just press stop now. At 12 a.m. it was 0.2 inches. End of story. Bye-bye. We're done. End of stream. Bye. No, I'm just joking. But that's all we needed, right? We just needed that 12 a.m. because she was supposed to have hit him between 12 and 1 a.m., which is 0.3 of an inch, which is just the lightest dusting. And that's exactly what Brennan's library footage and temple footage is going to show us. Exactly that. Like, barely cat prints. What did he call it? I can't remember what he called it now. Hi, Sparkle. Thanks for joining us. I request to see a three-way stream of Ozzy, Melanie, and Larry, the DUI guy. Logical hilarity will ensue. Love you, Ozzy, in chat. I did send a message to Melanie, but she's real busy right now because, trial and life in between full days of streaming trial. So it's going to be difficult for a bit until we maybe have some days off. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But track a cat, that's what he said. Thank you. Thank you, chat. Right. Papa Snowman. Papa Snow? I don't know what we're calling him, but we're calling him something. Like, he's up there with the Crash Daddies now, right? Papa Snow? But anyway, that's all we needed to know. Deep enough to track a cat. It is this science terminology or what? Are we talking physics here? Right. He even discredits Kerry's testimony, right? It's so funny. Because Hanky Brennan got him up here for the soundbite. The ground was frozen, but the rest of his sound bites don't support that rest of Brennan's theories. So that's pretty funny.
Are relevant in this matter. So let's start with, and just do it chronologically by time. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to do a little bit of math as we go through. If you need a calculator, I think it's going to be fairly straightforward math for someone with your skills, but take your time when we get through it. So we start at midnight, and you mentioned the concept of visibility on your direct examination, correct?
Yes.
And I believe you said on your direct examination that at midnight there was, quote, very little snow precipitation. Is that correct?
I believe I said there was very little snow on the ground.
Very little snow on the ground, and I think you used the phrase track a cat?
Enough to track a cat, exactly.
Right. And so enough to track a cat, but a fairly small amount, correct?
I don't know how to define it any better than enough to track a cat.
Very good, sir. I'll go with track a cat.
That's the smallest amount as you can get. And again, that would be on a natural surface, not necessarily on pavement.
Right. And what would the variation be, if at all, on pavement?
Oh, a lot of factors would come into play. Most importantly, since this was a forecasted storm event, the town may have pre-treated the road. That lowers the freezing point of the precipitation. So it would, even if it was 25 degrees, it might be melting on the road.
So in terms of the factor you just talked about, for example, pre-treatment, that could cause the accumulation, the numbers here to be lower than what we're seeing on the chart, correct?
Definitely, correct.
But there's not a scenario where it could be higher, is it, at this point?
Well, there are places, especially with this kind of wind and dry, fluffy snow, that you would have drifting.
Right, but with just 0.2 inches on the ground, would you expect drifting?
No,
Okay.
Absolutely not. Not
Right,
unless I was a very small animal.
I was going to say, tracking a cat wouldn't
Yeah.
seem to work very well if you've only
No.
got drifting with 0.
I thought you were asking about the larger numbers.
No, sir. Good point. What I'd like to do is to just concentrate on the beginning here and midnight and 1 a.m. and then we'll progress down through, okay? I want to snapshot it, if you will, starting at the very beginning. So we then move to 1 a.m., which is 0.3 inches, correct?
Correct.
Now, if you add, and it seems like to be most accurate, to each number here, we would add a 0.2 to get the total, correct?
Correct.
So if we go to 1 a.m. on January 29, 2022, we've only got 0.5 inches of snow per this chart, correct?
Total so far, yes.
And that could, on the road, that could be less because of municipal pre-treatment. If they pre-treated for the storm, they could have put some chemicals down that would have caused a melt and therefore less. That's a possibility.
That's one factor. Another factor would just be the road may be warmer for a number of reasons.
So that could be another reason why it might be less, another factor.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now let's go to, I want to go between 1 and 2 a.m. Let's assume a time of 1:45 a.m. on January 29, 2022. Is it correct that the accumulation would be less than 0.8 inches at that point, according to your chart?
By 2 a.m., it would be less than 0.8, yes.
Correct.
Therefore, by 1:45, it would be less than 0.8, yes.
Right, so-
Or equal to, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
Less
sir.
than or equal to.
Right, so you used 2 a.m., right, which would mean that it was 0.8, correct?
Correct.
And then if you work back 15 minutes at 1:45 a.m., it would be less than 0.8, correct?
If it was still snowing in those 15 minutes. Yes.
Right. So, but I just want to focus on the number.
Yeah.
At 1:45 a.m., it's less than 0.8 inches, correct?
It's less than 0.8 inches.
Yes,
Okay.
right, alrighty. So, and that is, to state it another way, is it correct to say it's just 0.8 of an inch? Is that correct?
0.8 is 0.8 of an inch. Yes.
Right, another way to say it. So, in terms of the time now, and this may get a little more complicated, sir, but if you take just the time between 1 a.m. and 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. So you've got 0.8. You would have under at 1:45. Is it correct? You would have only 0.35 inches accumulated of the 0.8. You follow my math, sir?
I'm not sure what I follow in that sentence.
Yeah, come
Did
on,
you
it's
ask me
math,
how
man.
much snow fell between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m.?
That's another way of asking the
Okay,
question.
between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., 0.3 of an inch is the estimated snowfall.
Right, very well. And so,
Which is exactly what Alessi said. And here's the funny thing, I followed him. I'm here, girlfriend. I'm just playing through Alessi's testimony because everyone loves Alessi, right? In fact, I think a lot of people love Alessi more than they love me. So we're going through Alessi's testimony. But yeah, I followed the math. I got what he was saying.
what I'd like to do now is to move down the chart to 3 a.m.
Wait, there's one more thing I want to say. He calculated this himself. He says in his direct examination, when he's talking with Brennan, he says, I calculated, and he puts his numbers up on the screen. And that's funny because you don't need to calculate it. If you're a meteorologist, you go to the weather collection stations and you get their data. You don't need to do the calculating. The weather stations do the calculating. So they've got I don't know how it works with snow because I've never seen how they do it with snow, but I know here with rain, we've got rain meters. They catch the rain and they tell us how many inches fell in X amount of time. So they go out and regularly check the gauges over a period of time. So I don't know how it's done with snow, but I'm pretty sure that's how the weather stations work out how much snow fell in a period of time. So I don't know why he's doing his own calculations when he could just go to the weather station that's closest to Canton, which I believe is called Blue Hill Weather Station. But anyway.
How much snow has fallen or accumulated between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m.?
It would be 1 inch.
Right, and is an inch, and you're in the measurement business, about the size of a thumbnail?
Yeah, I actually use the knuckle on my thumb to the end of my thumb as an inch.
Right, so from the knuckle of one's thumb to the end of the thumb is 1 inch. Right. And under your terminology on direct, you had used the term very little. Would you consider from the knuckle to the top of the thumb, very little snow.
It definitely would require a comparison. 1 inch of snow has caused tremendous problems for people.
Right.
So I would not call it, just by the fact of 1 inch of snowfall, I would never say it's very little.
No, so I'm sorry, maybe my question wasn't clear.
All of the calculations we're talking about so far are less than an inch, not even up to half an inch yet. So, dude.
I'm not talking about effects of 1 inch. I'm just talking a measurement of 1 inch on a measurement scale. Would you still consider that your phrase, track a cat, or would you be out of the track a cat?
We'd be out of the track a cat stage.
Got it. So, but again, the 1 inch being from the knuckle to the top of the thumb.
Yes.
Let's now go all the way down to about another time is 3:30 a.m., which we're going to focus on now, 3:30 a.m. How much snow had accumulated by 3:30 a.m.?
Well, we're going to have that inch we just talked about at length, and we're going to add the 2/10 from the previous day, the last few hours of the 28th, so we have 1.2, and now we're going to add another.
Stop it. It didn't snow the previous day. Stop. We barely see any snow on the ground at midnight in the video footage, whether we're looking at the waterfall bar or the library or the temple video. They're all just a light dusting. So where are you getting the previous day snow from? Anyway, I just wanted to read something out to you because I thought it was very funny. Kevin told me that to measure snowfall, like I was talking about the rain gauge, to measure snowfall, they use a midget that runs out every 5 minutes, depending on where it comes up to. They know how deep it is. If he doesn't come back, they know it's time to go skiing. So there you go. That's how they measure snow, apparently. Or maybe that's only in Ireland. They use a little leprechaun, right, Kev? You crack me up, dude.
Half an inch by 4 a.m., so somewhere less than 1.7 inches, less than or equal to.
Wouldn't the number at 3:30 be 0.85 inches?
You're including the snowfall from the previous day, the 2/10 of an inch?
Yes.
No.
What would it be?
As I said, there's 1.2 inches up to 3 a.m., and then we're adding some amount before 4 a.m. Unknown how that was distributed within that hour, but something like 1.7 equal or less than total.
How about the accumulation between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m.? How much accumulation for that time period?
Between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. So we have 3/10 of an inch up to 2 and another 4/10 of an inch to a total of 0.7.
So between 1 and 3 a.m., there's only an accumulation of 0.7, correct?
Correct.
Inches.
Correct.
You had spoken a lot on your direct testimony about the magnitude of the storm, a variety of other measurements. But what I wanted to draw really a line at 6 a.m., which you said was an accumulation of 3.9. What I want to do is to now move on to from 7 a.m. on January 29th until...
Hi, I'm Ben, and Camp Quality is giving you the chance
Sorry.
to win this Ford Ranger Wild Track and the Jayco All-Terrain.
noontime.
Generally, I don't mind giving the ads to the to whoever's streams I'm viewing, but this is law and crime. Like, grr. and I care about them. I care about my fellow creators and law tubers. We should be watching Andrea's stream, like, duh.
And you can check my math, sir, but I get 12.5 inches total as of noon on January 29th.
I can do the arithmetic if it sounds about right. 8.6 inches fell up until noon, starting at 6 in that time period, which is about the amount we forecast. And did you ask about the total going back to the night before? Or?
Yeah, the total starting at midnight.
Starting at midnight.
Right, going until noon, so it's a 12-hour period of the same day, January 29th.
My quick calculation is 12.3 inches.
Right, and then you'd add the 0.2 from midnight?
Previous to midnight, yes.
Right, so 12.3 is what shows with all those numbers, but then you have to add the 0.2 from midnight, which would get you to 12.5, correct?
Exactly, yep.
Good. So just to summarize the first column there, all the way down from (1 a.m. to 12 p.m. At 6 a.m. we've got 3.9 inches, and then moving down to 12 p.m. we're at 12.5 inches.
Ah, shit. I had the mute button on. I was like yapping away there, wasn't I? I was saying, let's pay homage to Alessi's methodology in making points. He'll tell you what the point is he's going to make. Then he'll step you through making the point, and then he'll summarize that point. I love it because you can't miss it, right? You get it 3 times over. Bugger me, stupid mute button.
Inches, correct?
I believe so.
Sir, tell me when you're
Yes, yes.
So we're in alignment with those two numbers, 3.9 inches as of 6 a.m., 12.5 inches as of 12 p.m. on January 29th, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry if I wasn't sure if you wanted me to do all the arithmetic again, but I did do that, and yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate you doing that. You talked about the concept of visibility on your direct examination. In terms of visibility, did I hear you correctly that there's a correlation between the amount of snow coming down and visibility?
The intensity of the snowfall, so the amount over time and visibility, right?
Right. So the intensity or amount over time. How would you describe visibility from 12 midnight or 12 a.m. on January 29th until 1 a.m., that 1 hour period? How would you describe visibility?
I really don't know exactly. I can look at the report from Norwood Airport. They measure the visibility.
Could you do that, sir? Would that be easy enough for you to do?
Do you need a light, Mr. Gilman? Do you need lights on?
If we're going to do more than one, I would, but let's see if I can. Thank you, Your Honor. And we were asked about 1 a.m., is that?
Yes, visibility at 1 a.m.
Okay. Visibility reported at 1 a.m. was 1.2 miles in light snow.
And what does that mean, a visibility of 1.2 miles?
1.25 miles, 1.25 miles. It means that anything that was more than 1.25 miles away from the observer would be hidden by the snowfall. You wouldn't be able to see it.
And what does it mean if it were the visibility was less than 1.25 miles?
And as the visibility lowers, you can your ability to see objects in the distance is reduced.
So assume, sir, that somebody is 30 feet away from an object they want to see, and the visibility is 1.25 miles. Would they be able to see that object based upon your experience with visibility and your your career in that area?
All other things being equal, yes.
Right. So would it be fair to say visibility would be good from 30 feet if it's a 1.25 mile and beyond?
Can you answer that, Mr. Gilman?
Can I further explain to the jury about visibility? Thank you. A term like good for visibility would generally apply more toward 8 miles, 10 miles as good visibility. So it's hard to say that anything under 3 miles. For instance, we go from calling visibility reduction in haze.
I think he missed the point. We're talking a couple of feet. We're not talking miles, dude. We're talking a few feet.
To fog, once it's really the same atmospheric phenomenon, but once you get below 3 miles, we call it fog or dense fog. So anything below that, when you reduce visibility by fog, haze, snow below 3 miles, it's hard to call it good visibility.
But if something is at 1.25 miles, there's visibility, correct?
Of 1.25 miles, yes.
There is visibility.
And again, if I could explain for the jury, a lot of this is developed for aviation.
Right.
Let me just explain to the chat why I wrote what I just wrote. Because Jen was the one who said it was like whiteout. I couldn't see anything. And Alessi's actually using their meteorologist to say it wasn't actually whiteout conditions. So that's why I wrote that. But I didn't want to say it aloud on the air. So.
And if you're a pilot or you think about what a pilot needs to go through, that's where these terms come from.
I understand, sir, but you are in the weather forecasting business, correct?
I sure am, yes.
And you, and weathercasters, we all here on TV talk about visibility on their forecast, correct?
Correct.
And they're not talking just to pilots, right? They're talking to people who are going to drive, people who are going to walk, is that correct?
And it is a challenge to communicate that, yes.
But sir, my question is, when someone, a weathercaster, weather person is talking about visibility, the main target audience are for people who are going to be driving or walking, correct? There's not pilots that they're giving.
Well, I don't know, but I would never expect, and I do broadcast meteorology, a broadcast meteorologist to say visibility was good if it was less than 1.5 miles.
Yeah, sir, I appreciate that, but my question's not, I've left whether it's good or not. I'm talking about the purpose of weathercasters speaking about visibility.
Yes.
You had indicated in your earlier answer you had tethered it to pilots, but there's also an application of the visibility concept for the rest of us in the world who drive and walk, correct?
Yes,
isn't it useful for that?
Absolutely. I'm trying to answer your question about whether the visibility was good.
Right, but I'm not asking that question anymore. My question is just,
I only know what you asked me.
All right. I'll try it a different way. Visibility is a concept that is used by weathercasters to assist people who are going to be walking or driving. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So now let's go on to the concept of temperature. You mentioned
Kev.
the concept of wind chill on your direct exam.
Before we change topics to Windchill, right, Kevin? And herein lies the reason why the defence didn't put a motion to exclude him for I've forgotten the name of the friggin' case now, but qualifications. So I was wondering, why wouldn't they exclude him? Are they just trying not to put too many motions? He's like, well, I would have excluded him. He's not even he's not experienced. He doesn't have the qualifications to talk about the ground being frozen. He might have the qualifications to talk about the snowfall, but he doesn't have the qualifications to talk about the ground being frozen. So I was like, why wouldn't you exclude him? But obviously they had his report, knew what he was going to testify to, and what he's testifying to is all good for the defense. So, yay. Anyway, on to Windchill.
Examination. You recall that, sir?
I was asked about it, yes.
Yes. Does Windchill have a relationship to temperature, and if so, what is it?
Support for whatever life throws your way.
Go away.
Swiss, here life comes.
It does have a relationship to temperature. It's a complex function that was developed by the U.S. Air Force in the 50s to help produce cold weather gear. And it was determined that wind had a major impact on our military in terms of what type of gear they needed, in addition to how low the temperature was. So it's a measurement of temperature to begin with, and then there's a complex function applied based on the wind speed to come up with how that air temperature, how that air is going to impact the human body.
So is it fair to say that if you have a temperature, and what I wanted to do is to go to the temperatures that you gave on your direct examination, is it accurate to state that, for example, on January 29th, I believe I heard you say there was a high of 29 and a low of 15, is that correct, sir?
Yes, that was my report based on all those 3 locations, yes.
And you had also testified about wind speed and wind gusts as well. And can you state, if you have it in your notes?
I do, yes. It was in the report, yep.
Yep, and what was the wind speed? Average and then high gusts?
Sure. 23 miles an hour with frequent gusts of 47 miles an hour.
So what does your number 23, how does that affect temperatures of 29 and 15?
It makes that air feel much colder. So that air, that 20-degree air, did you say 20 and
29, sir, and 15
okay.
were the numbers you had given?
That range for that day, sure.
Yeah.
So it makes that air temperature feel colder, and it allows that air to take heat out of your body more efficiently and more rapidly. So it feels much colder, and we can calculate roughly how it would feel if there was no wind at all.
And sir, thank you. You've gotten right to my next point, and I only have a few more questions left for you. So if you have the highest temperature on the 29th of 29, January 29, 2022, do you know what the wind chill factor would do in terms of a calculation number to bring that 29 number down? Do you know what that number would result in applying the most conservative wind speed of 23?
I wasn't asked to calculate that, no.
Would it be less than 0? Just an estimate.
Based on the 29 temperature?
Based on the 29.
No.
Would it
I
be
don't believe so.
Would it be in the teens?
Yes.
So the 29 would be in the teens, and then for the low of 15, approximately what number might that get down to?
Again, depending on the wind, if you looked at 5 miles an hour, it wasn't that wind all day, and that 15 degree might not have been corresponding to any wind at all.
Just using your average that you used on direct of 23.
The average wind, again, made it feel much colder, bitterly cold, extremely cold when you were out in the highest wind at the lowest temperature. So it may have felt like 0 to even 10 below 0 at the lowest temperature and the highest wind gusts.
So if I got that correct, so 15 was the lowest temperature you gave in direct on January 29th, and you state that it would be, with the wind chill using about an average of 23, would be 0 or maybe minus 10. Is that the number correct?
Again, I'm just guessing. I didn't do the calculation. I wasn't asked to do the calculation. But based on my experience of reporting in this area for 45 years, I basically get the idea of what it's like when the temperature is that low and the wind is that high. Yeah.
Right. And if we could please have the chart published back up, please.
I'm a reporter.
You can keep the lights on. You
Of
just
course
make it
I know what I'm
larger.
talking
I want to
about.
make sure Mr. Gilman has some facile with his notes. Okay, so is it...
So essentially, he's saying because he's a reporter, he's got geotechnical engineering skills. Whatever, Papa Snow. Whatever.
Correct to say that if the total accumulation for the storm was 23.8 inches, that the vast majority of that accumulation came well after 6 a.m.
Yes.
And as of 6 a.m., we've only got 3.9 inches compared to what the storm ended up at about 23.8. And then importantly, from midnight on January 29th until 3 a.m., we've got just 1.2 inches, correct?
Exactly.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Please bear with me a moment, Mr. Gilman.
Leslie's so polite. Even Leslie even melts.
Thank you for
Judge
answering
Bev.
my questions, Mr. Gilman.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Mr. Lally? Okay.
Nah, Brennan, shut the fuck up. Oh, it's Lally. Last word, Lally, eh? Last word, Brennan, and last word, Lally. Now we're going to go back through direct, I bet. Let's reiterate what we asked you on direct.
Mr. Gilman, you were asked about the snowfall between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. How much snow again was there during that time frame?
During that time frame, about 3/10 of an inch.
Okay. And during that time frame was probably the least amount of snow that was on the ground during the course of the storm, correct?
There was no storm, you fucking moron.
Hour or two previous. Yeah, there was really, in fact, I have this chart I showed, the graph, the map. It just showed a trace of 0. There was less than an inch on the ground. And we measure snow on the ground in whole numbers, so it would either be 1 inch or 0.
And so that would be during what you've characterized as the track-a-cat stage, correct?
Yes.
Track-a-cat.
And so it's during that track-a-cat stage that there's the least amount of snow between the frozen ground and anything that...
I need to clip it. We get to Lally with a completely fucking straight face saying a track-a-cat stage. Like a straight face. And took his glasses off for a serious moment. Oh my god, that's hilarious. I gotta clip it.
may come down on top of it, correct?
Yes.
Now, as quickly as it applies to visibility, when you were asked about visibility in 30 feet, you said all other things being equal. What are some of the things that would make it unequal?
a car in front of you, a building in front of you, a person, anything other than weather, and there are other types of weather that can lower the visibility besides snowfall, including fog.
So darkness, as far as nightfall versus daytime, that would have a negative impact on your visibility?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
What about lighting? How would lighting impact the visibility of an object?
I really can't say that. Lighting, obviously, you need some light to see anything. That's really all I could say.
And lastly, sir, as far as wind chill is concerned, again, could you explain to the jury exactly what is wind chill? What is it measuring?
Again, it was developed for the military in the 50s to help design. It was actually done here at the Natick Labs here in Massachusetts to help design cold weather gear, because prior to that time, during World War II, the Korean War, unfortunately, especially Air Force aviators were suffering. They had clothing that might have been adequate for the temperature, but because of the wind, they suffered frostbite and other ill effects. And so research was done, and the result of that was a wind chill temperature, the way it would feel to the human body based on the wind on a certain temperature.
And so the wind chill is measuring the impact of how a person experiences the air temperature, correct?
Exactly.
I have nothing further. Thank you, sir.
Anything, Mr. Lassie?
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Gilman, you are all set, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ah, you silly bloody woman. I did it again, didn't I? That's a lot of snow, Kev. Oh my God. Stop with the mute button, damn it. As Kev and I realized just prior to the stream, you press a certain button, it mutes the microphone. Bugger. Anyway, so there we go. That's the end of that. So I think it's pretty funny. I couldn't believe it. Alali was like, and so what is the visibility during the track a cat stage? Visibility, sir. It's 0.3 inches of snow, not a fog bank over Mordor. Anyway, if you could literally see a cat, pretty sure you could see a 6-foot police officer, right? Yeah, sorry. I apologize. I see you've all just got my little accidental mute. Oh my God. I've come to the decision it's got to happen 3 times before my brain gets, don't press that button. All right, so Kevy's got a topic he wants to talk about, so let me bring him up. I'll just do a little revision, I guess, a little revisionism. Are you ready, Kev? Give me a signal. Yep. Smoke signals from beyond. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
For everybody who doesn't know, Supermod Kev chat, Supermod chat, chat, Supermod Kev.
You caught me on the hop there. What is it I want to talk about?
The shoe. The shoe. The shoe. This is an ongoing debate, online debate, but I wanted to show you. I wanted to show it to you because this is probably going back a ways in my videos. Some of you probably haven't seen it. So let me just go find the video for you. I can't remember what the freaking hell I called it. Here we go. Share this one. Hang on. Wait for the ad to fuck off. Got to watch my own ads, don't I?
Bring it up yourself so I can see it.
Yeah, give me 1 sec. Let me just get to the start of it. All right. This is a... Wait, I just fucked up. Sorry. Share this tab. This is an 8-minute video talking about the sneaker. And this isn't a thing that Corey and I did, basically. He's a 3D artist. He set up all the cameras in his 3D software to have a look at basically what we could determine with like camera lighting, because sometimes it's the camera lighting, and they were using really shit cameras on the crime scene. So this is what I worked out. Why I don't think they are two completely different sneakers. So let's listen to that. Volume. Let's go. Bag with the shoes in it, in their possession, to inspect what model shoes they are. The fact that it was never raised in court indicates to me there's nothing wrong with the model of the shoes. Okay, this is an important point because this particular brand of shoe, sorry.
I was going to say, for context, if you put up that picture, the two pictures side by side on Will's poster, people will know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I don't know if you can split screen it, can you?
It's okay. No, can't split screen it, but let's do what you say so people can see what we're talking about first. So share this tab. Let's start there. Sorry. We knew the context because we were talking about it in private chat. Nobody else knows the context. All right. We'll say that these are two completely different shoes. All right. That's the bottom line here. But I disagree. They're not two completely different shoes. It's just shadowing. So if you've got two different light sources, so you see that shadow there? There's a shadow and it comes this way. The shadow is cast this way. And everything over here is light. That means we've got a light source coming from this direction, correct? Light source going this way, casting a shadow that way.
Too dark to be a shadow.
It is not.
Because I thought Will proved that there is a shoe with a black sole of that style.
There is. That's exactly what I'm going to show you in the video.
Okay, right.
You actually can design your own shoe on the Nike website. So that's what I was about to show you. But I can still prove that that's a shadow. So it's here. There's the camera light source facing onto the shoe when you take the photo. But there's also a vehicle parked off to the left, which is casting that shadow to the right. But anyway, this is what we're talking about. They're saying that these are two different sneakers, and Will's firmly convinced, no one can convince him otherwise, that it is not two different sneakers. But this is the exercise that I did. So let's go back to that tab and have a look at the exercise that I did. And for the purpose of this demonstration, I want you all to take a flashlight out and shine it on two different pairs of shoes and tell me if your flashlight behaves differently if it's pointing at Nikes or if it's pointing at Adidas. I think you'll find the flashlight doesn't care. So, with that said, let's get on with the demonstration. Despite the chances of Buckley's a none of getting my son to pay attention for more than 5 seconds on. So just to add to that, back then there was an argument between what sort of shoe it was, and I was like, it doesn't fucking matter, does it? really. I mean, you can clearly see the Nike stripe on it. It's a Nike shoe. End of story. Lights don't change because of the type of shoe, right?
Yeah, well, I remember it had going on at the time, but I didn't follow it all that closely.
Right. On
I just took it as
Sorry.
I just took it that it was different shoes and was waiting for it to come up in the trail. It never did.
Right. Well, there's a reason it never did, and you'll see why when I get to that part of the video. Turns out Buckley's was in my favour this week. So it is with great pleasure that I present to you 2 sneakers, one with a white sole and one with a black sole. And I'll just point out, when we started this exercise, because it was of the opinion that this photograph was absolutely showing a black sole. And I'll tell you where he landed when I'm finished the demonstration. To set up the lighting, I described to Causa where CERT team testified they had set up their vehicles, shining their lights across the crime scene. And so by studying the photographs and the direction of the shadows in the photographs, he was able to position 2 headlights in the approximate direction and distance that the shadows were being cast. It took a little bit of mucking around to get things looking right. What can you see? That's a black sole. That's a white sole. What can you see? I can see 2 black soles now. Can you? Where'd Brennan... Hey, where'd you go? Oh, I think we lost Kev. Can you guys see 2 black soles now?
No, sorry, I'm here. Yeah, I see 2 black soles. I said that.
Right, but that's not 2 black. It's not 2 black sole shoes. It's actually those 2 shoes.
Hold on, till I look at the image again.
That's a Nike, and that's a Nike. This is done in 3D. My son built these in 3D.
Yeah, but if you look,
now I put the headlights over here. The camera source is over here. What color are the soles?
They're black.
Right, but
yeah,
continue on. We'll continue on though, because we did more exercises, so we'll continue on.
Go back to the image again for a second. Just to point this out.
Hang on.
On light, as they say.
Yeah, let me find the tab. Sorry, I got a million tabs open. Fuck, where's the tab? That one.
Right. If I can't do it because I can't use my own mouse, but if you look at the right-hand side of the sole, see the white snow?
Yes.
Why is that white?
Because it's
Why
snow.
Is that not
bloody hell.
The sole, no, but the sole of the shoe is white.
Okay, just stop.
White is white.
Watch the bumps. See that bump there and that bump there? And see this bump here? Why does that follow the bumps? Why does the shadow follow the bumps? Do you see what I'm talking about?
I see what you're talking about, but
I'm going to get into this in more detail, but watch the video some more, because I do trace all this out with some lines so you can see what the hell I'm talking about.
Okay. Still not convinced.
But anyway, just from that picture there and putting a camera light, like the car would be over here and it's down a little lower, and I think I actually do show you where I place the cameras for this exercise. But now you're seeing a long cast shadow all the way out here, because that light's further away and down low casts a long shadow, right? Things looking right. So we didn't bother screen grabbing the entire exercise. We just took screenshots when we thought things were looking much like the photographs. You can see here, with just being illuminated by the headlights alone, the white sole and the black sole are looking very similar in the shadows. Next, we added some snow to the shoes to see how it's you clacking. I can hear you clacking. I thought it was in the video. Let me speed up my playback speed, because I did actually talk fairly slow through this. Let's go 1.5. Shadows would form, and because I only had his attention. Sorry?
I was just typing a message to you. I was going to say get chat to put 1 or a 2. Put a 1 in the chat if you think the shoes are different at the start. A 2 if you don't think they're different.
Good
And
idea.
We'll see what your opinion is after.
Right. So 1 for what if you think they're different, and 2 if you think they're the same, and it's just a shadow. All right. Attention for a short period. We didn't get to add as much snow as I would like to have for the experiment, but it was enough to see where the shadows would form. As you can see here, the headlights being at a distance will cast long shadows, and that's not what we're seeing in the photograph. If you look in the photograph, you can see quite a shallow, hard shadow right up close to the shoe, and that indicates another light source. To replicate the shadow, we put a flashlight overhead, in addition to the headlights. By positioning the flashlight in the right spot, we could get that shadow casting very close to the shoe as it is in the photograph. As we add the light sources, you can see it's becoming increasingly difficult to determine which shoe has a black sole and which shoe has a white sole. It's only when we change the angle of the flashlight source that we can see that there is one with a white sole. There's really only one angle the flashlight can be in for you to see that one is black and one is white. It is kind of difficult to see under the snow where the sole should be versus shadow. I've kind of traced it out in red. It's probably not perfect, but that's approximately in proportion. Any black you can see outside of that is shadow. In addition, any white you can see outside of that is snow. Got it? Oh my god, I lost the tab again. All right.
Yeah,
and you can tell
still
because
not
some of the
convinced.
bumps that aren't deformed by other snow in the background below the shoe are fairly symmetrical as you would expect a shadow to be. It's easier to see in the second picture. Once again, I trace out where I think the sole should be underneath the snow, and anything outside of that should be shadow. And you can see they mostly conform in shape how you would expect a shadow to do. Going back to changing the direction of the light source, when the light is more directly on the soles, we can see the colour difference between the black and the white sole. And we can also see that in the subsequent photographs of the shoe.
The Qantas Hotels Triple Points Frenzy is on now. Earn 9 points per dollar spent. That's
not
we'll
now.
come
Back to whether or not they have moved the shoe, staged the shoe, or whatever with the shoe. Right now we're just looking at lighting and shadow. So did you see that picture of the shoe? Now the sole looks white. Why? Because the light source is more directly overhead. So it's the same shoe in the same snow, because you can see that blobs of snow which are in the heel, in the, what do you call that, instep, in the instep area.
Yeah, but if you look to the left of that, the instep area, you can see it's still showing up as black. But
Here,
if that was the case,
no, it's not. It's just shadowed. Are you saying that's black? You're saying that that's black.
Let me make my point, will you? If you look at the way the shoe's sitting up on its side and the light is thrown, if you're saying that that's casting the shadow should cast beyond that at an angle.
No, this picture here, the light source is directly overhead. So there is no shadow. It's down, see it here? It's directly below the shoe. So we're not seeing it here because that's in our vision. The shadow's behind that, but you can see it here at the heel because the light source is directly overhead.
Yeah, you can see it there.
Go back.
Okay.
Go back to here and watch when I move this light source. See that little dot there? That's the light source. On the soles, we can see the colour difference between the black and the white sole. And we can also see that in the subsequent photographs of the shoe. We'll come back to whether or not they have moved the shoe. Did you see it? I'll show you again. The arrow, see the arrow here with the dot? That's the light source. That's the torch light source overhead, rightio? When we move we see the colour difference between the black and the white sole. And we can also see that in the subsequent photographs of the shoe. We'll come back to whether... Do you understand now? Do you understand how light affects?
I understand exactly what you're saying, but it still doesn't seem right to me. If you take the shadow you just pointed out at the heel, right? The little small backward C. Right?
Hang on.
You're saying you're saying the snow is white because it's white. It's showing up white because it's white. But there's snow underneath that heel. But it's showing black. The shadow's casting over it. It's black because the light can't hit it. So
no, snow's transparent. If you're going to recreate snow in 3D, for example, you have to use a certain amount of transparency because snow reflects light, but it's also semi-transparent. It's not entirely solid white.
I don't know. I'm still not convinced. Let it roll. Let it roll. Let it roll.
Whether or not they have moved the shoe, staged the shoe, or whatever with the shoe. Right now, we're just looking at lighting and shadows, and whether or not the direction of our simulated lighting matches what we're seeing in the photographs in their change of direction for the lighting as well. And I'm not sure that you can, but I can see that we are getting a similar lighting effect. Now, what colour is that? The sole is lighter when the light is more... What colour is that sole?
I can't tell because there's white, there's snow all over the bottom.
You can see it here. You can see it here. You can see it like that's the edge, and in there is still white. That sole is still white.
Yeah, okay.
And here's that blob of snow in the instep. That blob of snow, which goes like that in the instep, is still there. So in order for you to believe that these are different, every single one of these photos is a different shoe, you have to believe that they were smart enough to stick a new blob of snow on a different shoe to take this next photo. And I do not believe in 100 years they were smart enough to think of that. But anyway, continue on.
Okay, you're convincing me. Okay,
directly on the shoe sole. As for staging, I want you to pay particular attention to this clump of snow here on the instep of the shoe. It does appear to be the same clump in the second photograph in the instep of the shoe. It does appear to be the same clump of snow when we can clearly see that the sole is white. The closest and clearest example would be this last one, where we're seeing every bump in the snow close up and defined. So no, I don't think the cops were smart enough to plonk a bit of snow in the exact same spot for every photo. There's probably other details that you can compare between the photos, like the smaller clumps in the background, for example. Given the sloppiness of this entire investigation and the idiocy in which they planted evidence all over the joint haphazardly that didn't really match any pattern, I just can't see them paying such close attention to detail for this tiny little clump of snow to appear in the same photos. There you go. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. But I have to point out F-bomb's thing here because we see it on the moon. During the day, during different phases of the moon, some of the moon's black and some of it's white. Does that mean it's actually black? No, it's the reflection of the light, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I had myself muted there.
You're arguing with me. Shh. So that's essentially where I came from. But I got another video, which is the let me find it. Okay, I got another video where I actually did do. Shush up. Sorry, ads. I got another video where I actually do go through like the shoes, the different types of shoes and how you can design your own shoes on the Nike website. So you can have a different color bottom, you can have a different color top, all sorts of things. So I'll just play through that video. What screen have I got up? Yep, you can all see that. So I went onto the Nike website and designed a black sole shoe, because this was the first part of my exercise. What you just saw then was the second part of the exercise where I got Corey to recreate the shoes and change the light sources. These photos were taken at night under the glow of the CERT team's headlights. So that's one mystery down. The shoe found in the snow definitely has a white sole. Now let's have a look at the shoe that was pulled out of the evidence bag in the courtroom.
Yes, it's the right sneaker recovered from the hospital room.
Okay, so this is the right sneaker from the hospital. It's not the left sneaker that was found in the snow. Well, that is a remarkably clean sneaker that doesn't look like it's been to 2 different bars that night, let alone worn anywhere else. The next question you might be asking is, why haven't we seen a pair of sneakers, both the left and the right, in court so far? When questioning the next witness that I'll show shortly, Lally briefly glossed over in what you could call maybe half a sentence that one shoe was found at 34 Fairview and the other was at the hospital. And even though this witness did receive both the shoes, he failed to show the jury. Right here, you'll see him very quickly shuffle the photograph of the pair of sneakers underneath the exhibit piles for the court clerk to number. And I'm going to hazard a guess that there's a very specific reason he doesn't want the jury to see the pair of sneakers.
Ms. Hartnett, with reference to the sneakers and sort of the other clothing items that you received, do you recall how or where or when it was that you received each of those respective clothing items? Or how the lab did, you know?
They were received by the lab from the Norfolk detective unit.
And as far as the sneakers being labeled with two different stickers, do you know why that was?
One of the sneakers was recovered from 34 Fairview Road, and one of the sneakers was recovered from the hospital.
Now, with reference to the photographs that I've just placed before you, have you had a chance to look at those?
These ones here?
Yes.
No.
If you could.
Show us the damn shoes, you dirty stop out.
And do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs there?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize those to be?
Those are the fingernail clippings that were submitted for John O'Keefe
And do you know where they were submitted from?
by the Norfolk County Detective Unit.
May I approach you?
Yes.
I'll call them up and see if you introduce them in as the next exhibit.
Okay. I don't know why I did that on the fingernail clippings. I think the point was he had those photos of the shoes and then he didn't show them. I think that was the point of that bit. Thank you.
And Your Honor, with respect to each of those, I'm not seeking to publish those to the jury at this time. So
Okay.
Court officer.
The lights back on, please.
So the point of that exercise, I got the wrong video, but the point of that exercise was to show you that Lally decided not to show the jury the shoes. So there you go. The sneakers mystery is solved. That upset people. Hang on, I got one more video and this was not the video I was looking for. So give me one sec.
I'm
it'll
still
take-
not fully convinced. Now that you said Lally didn't show the shoes, now I'm questioning why.
I know why. Because they washed the shoes.
Ah, okay.
Because they cleaned them. They had to clean the blood off, right?
Just like they buffed the scratch off the taillight housing.
The sneaky sneaker again. I'm trying to find the video where I actually looked, went onto the website to design the shoes, but all right, let's go to this one next. Let's do this one next. Hang on. This is another one that I did on the sneaker. This is just a quick short. So this is the crime scene photo that was attached to the top of the crime report. It was in black and white on the crime report. And they switched this photo out. There's actually 2 crime reports for this case. They switched this photo out. There's a little argument in trial 1.0 where Yannetti wanted to bring it in that they'd switched out this photo in the top corner of the report, and Bev wouldn't let him. So, but in this here, they've just removed John's body. It's just become daylight. And this is where, I forget which cop scraped the berm to show you where the berm was. And I believe like this area here is where the body was, sort of around here somewhere.
That was your man. That was the first shirt dude up. What do you call him?
Saraf? No.
He's the guy that changed his testimony from last year.
Gallagher, was it?
No,
I forget.
not Gallagher.
I can't remember who it was. Hang
He
on,
was
let
the
me get the
funky-
spreadsheet up.
He was the search supervisor.
The cert guy, yes. You're right, the cert guy. Right, let me
He
go
went
back.
on about how he explained how he cleaned the berm.
Right, he kicked the snow away from the berm, right? That's what that is.
Yeah.
Oops, pressing the wrong buttons here. I'm just trying to find which day that testimony was because I know it's here somewhere. I'll come back to that anyway. Sidetrack. So that's what that picture is, and that's the one that they attached to the police report. And then they changed the police report. So in the first police report, they had 32 Fairview Road. They had removed everybody's names or misspelt everybody's names, fucked with the times. I can't remember all the things that were wrong with the first report. Then they switched it out for trial, put this picture up in the top corner, and then Judge Bev wouldn't let Unetti show the jury that. So, but what happens is they do take a photo of the shoe on this exact berm later on, right? So they've kicked all the snow away. There's no shoe there. But then the cert team comes along and look where they find the shoe. There's the berm right there. So I've actually got the house, the flagpole, and that bush sort of lined up in the picture. So see where the shoe is right there? It's right there on the same berm where they have cleared it. So I just faded in and out a couple of times so you can see it's sitting about here on that berm.
Right, okay.
Right, so that's another video that you can see where it is, right, on the berm.
Yeah, 100%.
So they fucked themselves up there. That's why I don't think they're smart enough to freaking put this same clump of snow in the instep in all these photos where there's a white looking sole and a black looking sole. They're not smart enough to know that they took a photo of the fucking berm like already. Now let me find the other video. I know I've got a video here where I actually went onto the Nike website to design the shoe and I gave it a black sole, but it probably doesn't really matter. Like, you all know you can design them, right? You can change this. You can change the shoe color. You can change the Nike stripe color. You can change the sole, type of sole. It can wrap up around your toes, or it can just be flat across the bottom of the shoe. You can have a black sole or a white sole. You can have a white shoe with black Nike, or a black Nike shoe with a white Nike stripe. You got a whole bunch of things that you can do on the actual Nike site. Feel the berm.
Berm, baby, berm.
Berm, baby, berm. So yeah, that's to me that puts the shoe to rest. Until Corey put the lighting over the 3D objects and moved the lighting around, I wasn't convinced that they were different shoes. But what I am convinced of is that they cleaned those fucking shoes. And I can tell you, I can't even find that video now, but I got another video where I compare the soles. The soles that we just saw then shown in court was very, very white. And that's the one they collected from the hospital. But the one that they collected from the sidewalk is yellow on the bottom. And what happens when you put your rubber shoes in blood? Has anyone ever done that? The rubber on the bottom of their shoes, like dripped blood on them, it stains the rubber. And so the second photo I have of the shoe has a yellowish looking sole, not quite white anymore, like he has been stepping in his own blood. It's all cleaned off.
Sometimes you terrify me, Ozzy. How do you know that?
Because I cut my hand. I was cutting orange. I was cutting orange for the kids, and I sliced the knife towards my hand to score the skin. I was trying to do a peel job, and I was trying to just score the skin so I could get the peeler under the skin. And I sliced it towards my hand and slit the skin between my thumb and my forefinger. I slit the skin open and bled all over my shoes, and I could never get my rubber soles white again because of the blood stains. That's how I know that. Obviously not everyone's going to, especially, people on the jury are not going to have that experience. But I did notice that the sole that they say they picked up from the from the berm is yellower than the sole we just saw them show from the shoe they picked up in the hospital. And to me, that's what that indicates, that it did have blood on it. So,
right, because there's no way that shoe was that clean coming off John in the hospital.
right. So now in the chat, who now believes that shoe has a black sole, that they're different shoes? Did my demonstrations change anyone's minds?
So 1, if you think they're different shoes, and 2, if you think it's the same shoe or the same pair of shoes.
I don't think they even did 1s and 2s to begin with, because they didn't want to be caught out if they were wrong.
I'm still kind of in the middle. You've kind of convinced me a little bit.
A couple of people say 1s. And Eric is onto it. 1's a left sneaker and 1's a right sneaker. Exactly. I picked that up too because of where the instep is. So a lot of people going, they're both lefts, and they're not. So I'm going to keep this super chat starred because we're not on that topic, but I do want to come back to that topic.
Oh, look at Glen Lake being contrarian here.
Still 69,420. Prince Lover, you already taught me this. So Keb's still 2. You dirty stop out.
No. 2 is the same shoe. 1 was different shoes.
Oh, sorry. 1 was different shoes. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So
2 was different. 2 is the same.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of a little bit on the fence, but
Glen Lake's been contrarian. If he was on the fence, he would have written 1 and 2. F bombs is a 69,420. All right, so that's basically where I'm at with the shoe. You can't convince me that it's not lighting that we're seeing.
Yeah, okay.
So, and on the same token, I would just add that Glera is still in the boat of you can't convince me that they're the same shoe. So that's okay. We're allowed to disagree. We can still be on the same team and disagree on shoe, right? So
O'Hara was the name of your man, the cert guy.
O'Hare. Yeah, that dude.
O'Hara, I think. Well,
that's O'Hara.
Yeah, I'm reading it off X here.
Right.
Could be wrong.
So I finally got Brandy's spreadsheet, and she's really cleaned her act up this time. Like her last spreadsheet was freaking perfect. I got no complaints about her last.
She's the diamond standard when it comes to charts and flow charts and.
Right. But here's the thing. I feel like these pictures are different, and it might be just because they're on a different screen. Let me switch over to this one. I feel like some of these pictures are different. They got a color difference, and that could just be the different screen. And I don't recommend you try to break any shit down based on being, recorded through a pool camera and then stream to YouTube and then stream to your screen. I do not recommend you do this as a color comparison. But look, we got some yellow snow here. But there's a lot of purple in that. There's a lot of red and pink and purple in that one. These don't seem like the same pictures to me. This one here is the berm with the shoe in it.
Yeah, I'd question the quality of the source of them.
Then this one here, look, this is all purple and then yellow and then white.
Well, I'd say a lot of that. I'd say that could be the emergency light refraction.
No, by the time CERT team's there, it's the next day, and John's in hospital and Karen's arrested.
But do you see the house there in the background? Do you see the red light on the shining
over here? This one here.
Yeah.
I agree with that one there, because I know when that one was took, there was actually a vehicle there flashing lights, because that one was shown on the news while they were digging up the taillight pieces.
Well,
but this one here was not that same search. This one here and this one here.
Well, the search, the initial searches were done in the dark, weren't they? In the morning, at around about 6 a.m.
No, PM, 5:20 PM. So you're talking about the search?
You're back. Yeah, it was. Yeah, but given the time of year, it would have been dark, and
There's
because they're
two.
out working,
There's two.
they still have their lights.
The initial search with the snow blower, the leaf blower, sorry, that was in the morning. Then the cert one was in the evening, and they even changed that time here that Brandy's noted that this year they've got a different time.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is because they're police, they're out working in the dark, the emergency lights would be activated.
Right. So I just don't understand if the emergency lights are activated, why aren't they showing here or here or here? But they are here and here and here and here. It feels weird to me.
I can't answer that for you, but
Yeah.
it would be my best guess for safety reasons. They would have their lights on working
Yeah.
at night.
Yuck, who peed in the
Especially
snow?
Well, it could have been, activated while they were working on the road, but when they moved into the garden, onto the lawn, they turned them off. I don't know. There could be a number of reasons for
it. Like you mentioned, Lally definitely hid the shoe pick, and they're obviously keeping that shoe from being seen because it has a yellow sole, Carol. Unless they're side by side. Well, there is actually a picture of them side by side. I just can't find it right now. And one's got a yellow sole. So see if I can find it for you. It's just going to take me a while. Actually, we'll do it tomorrow. Remind me, chat, tomorrow that I was going to show you the two shoes together, and I will put a note here so that after this show, I find the two shoes together video clip. I do not remember who was testifying when they put them on the screen together for the life of me, but they might do it again. They might actually do it in the next couple of days and solve me having to go through freaking 3 weeks of footage to find it from the last trial. If we're lucky.
Glenn's claiming responsibility for the yellow snow.
It was you, Glenn. It was you. All right. Right, exactly, Fern's mum. The things that Lally had was the top of the shoes, looking down on top of the shoes, and they were photocopied 50 times, so they look really black. So, but yeah. But yeah, I just thought we'd go through that exercise because I'm not even sure what triggered it. What triggered it for you bringing up that thing about the shoe?
I was just scanning for things on X there to see if there was any headlines or any breaking news, and it just popped up, and it threw me memory back to last year.
Right,
it's
so
just with the guys being on the stand now about the search, I just thought it was appropriate maybe to bring it up tonight.
Right. Yeah, well, shit, I better pop that shut. Oops. So there was some testimony today, not about the shoe, but it shows the photographs of the shoe. So that's probably why it's coming up in today's search results. So Aiden says, holy shit, I'm 20 minutes
he reposted it. He reposted it again. Will did.
Oh, Will did. Yeah, because he's still not convinced. I've showed him 100 times. He still doesn't get it. Like, everyone's looking at the moon all day, every day, in all its different phases, and they still don't get it. Okay, Aiden's saying that Lieutenant Ihara has completely changed his testimony from last trial. He now says they started shoveling at 5:24, and now he knows the names of every member of the CERT team. Well, last trial, everyone was unknown. I got that too. Hang on, I need to drop this open to see the rest of his comment. We did that one. Oh no, that is the rest of his comment. What a piece of shit.
I'm just sending you one there now that's related to that with Mark Betterow answering the question.
Okay.
There you go now. It's a very good question, actually, and a very good point from Mark Betterow.
O'Hara got to the scene at 5:46, but didn't find any tail light until 4:56, but didn't find any tail light until 5:45. Betterow says you need to flip this argument around. If they started searching upon the arrival of the entire team first trial, or even at 5:21, as he said this trial, and started a why is my tongue tied today? Methodical line search opposite the front door in a ton of snow, which had lifted, sifted, and reviewed. How did they find a few taillight pieces almost 50 feet away by the flagpole within 20 minutes? Oh my God, that's a very good point.
It's an awesome point, because those methodical searches, I've been involved in a few around here.
It takes you an hour just to do 2 square
It
meters.
does. You're taking baby steps, and every time something's found, everybody has to stop. You're not allowed to progress forward.
Right. He was Scarlett O'Hara at the end of his cross. Right. That's actually a really good point. And there's a whole bunch of things to tie in here into all of this, okay? Because Proctor lied about what time they got the car in their possession so that he could lie about how much time they had to go plant the taillight evidence at the scene. So Proctor said that he was only just getting the car in the Sallyport now at this 5:21, right? At this, I think it was something like that. He said he's only just getting the truck here. But when you go back and you look at the video footage of the car being loaded on the truck and you add 45 minutes, it's actually an hour before this. It's actually closer. Well, it's closer to 4 p.m., 4 to 4:20, I think. That he's
I wonder if that's the reason that part of the reason why that footage of it arriving at the Sallyport isn't available.
Exactly. No, the footage of it arriving at the Sallyport is available, but it's got a bogus timestamp on it. It's got a different font format timestamp that didn't come from the system that they recorded it with. It's got a different timestamp on it, and it's got some.
Was that made available trial 1, or was that part of the new drop that they got before this trial?
In trial 1, they showed the truck entering the driveway for Sallyport with the SUV on the back, but that timestamp was bogus.
Okay, I missed that.
Thanks, F-bombs. It's something like that, right? His report said he picked it up at 5:30, but it was actually 4:16, something along those lines. So, yeah.
But also, O'Hara also stated in the first trial that he didn't know who the other people were that were searching with him, but he knew who all of them were today.
Right, he did testify he didn't know who they all were. How long was AJ's cross for him? Let me go have a look, because if it wasn't too long, we'll go and watch the cross. I'm not sure that I caught the cross examination of him. Oh, I did catch it. No. I caught Gallagher. Hang on. Wait a second. Let me just get the time zone right. So over here, we're looking at Lieutenant Kevin O'Hara at 5:06 hour. All right. Let's go to the 5.
He wasn't on very long.
5:06 hour. I got him. Share this tab. Let's have a listen to what he says. See what we pick up, because I actually do have. Where's the other one? Shit. I do have Brandy's spreadsheet from trial 1.0 where we can have a look at what is different in his testimony this time. Brandy. I think it's this one. Yep. Now, if I give you the link for this, I'll get you to go and find O'Hara on this spreadsheet while I play through this. How's that? That way we can multitask.
Is that O'Hara?
That's O'Hara. Now, in the private chat, there's a link.
That's not the guy. That's not the guy I was thinking of. Then
You were thinking of Gallagher. Can you squirt?
not Gallagher.
Can you scoot through that spreadsheet link and find which day O'Hara testified on last year, so we can compare notes while I press the play button? Take your time. It's okay.
What was your role with the Massachusetts State Police?
I was assigned as a trooper, a patrol trooper, working out of several barracks across the state.
Did you have to have any special education or training before you became an visibility?
Once we began the search, all 5 of us were lined up shoveling. When the 2 other members arrived on scene, they just joined in on the line to help us move.
From when you first arrived at 4:56 p.m. to when you began the search at 5:20 p.m., did you see anybody enter the area that you were going to search other than you or a CERT team member?
No, they did not.
Were there other people in the area outside the scene or the grid that you were going to search other than you and members of your CERT team?
Lieutenant Tully arrived on scene.
Was there anybody with Lieutenant Tully?
At one point, he had several other people with him, maybe I believe 5 throughout our search, maybe 5 different people, including him, were on scene.
Were those people part of state police?
At least 1, maybe 2. Unfortunately, I don't recognize all 2,500 members in our department, but there were probably about 5 total people on scene, sir.
Was there somebody who was picking up any evidence that you may find and putting it in bags and preserving it?
After we located evidence, it was documented on scene by the detectives.
So you yourself were not documenting?
No, and again, that's maybe a little change in the dynamics. If I had been more of in an instant commander role, I probably would have documented time, location. Again, more for our internal records. The primary record will always be at the hands of the detectives. But because I was actively searching, the detectives handled all documentation.
Did you see somebody from the state police putting evidence in bags after it was pointed out to you?
Yes, sir, they did.
When you began the search, what part of the street or yard did you begin with?
We started where we were informed the vehicle was parked, which again was by, almost directly across from the front door of the house, and we began working south towards Chapman Street.
During the process of the search, if somebody were to find a piece of evidence, what was the process? What would happen?
He would notify myself and Lieutenant Tully, and we would stop our operation until that was documented by the detectives on scene and collected.
Do you know what time the first piece of evidence was found?
I believe it was 5:45, sir.
Do you remember what the first piece or item that you or the CERT team found was?
It was a piece of taillight.
May I approach you on it?
I guess I can't do Brennan.
20 inches in certain towns.
And again, this is their marked vehicles, correct? Your team was not stood up.
Lieutenant Tully and I had a discussion. I think we determined
we're working on, other than your group, every piece of that area?
Lieutenant Tully and I had a discussion. I think we determined we'd found to the grass level.
How hard was the ground?
Right.
I'll withdraw that.
Fuck Brennan.
What time did you end the search?
Approximately 6:15, I believe. I was the last one to leave, which was 6:23 p.m. when I left.
And so how long was the entire search?
It was about 55 minutes. We started again around 5:20, ending around 6:15, sir.
Do you know if any other colleagues or members went back at a later date?
I've been informed that they did, yes, but not from my team, but other members of our department.
I'll allow it. Just move on.
Did your team go back?
We did not, sir, no.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant.
Good afternoon, sir.
When you first arrived at the scene, was there crime scene tape up?
No, there was not, sir.
Was there any barricade up at all?
No, there was not.
Was there any evidence that the crime scene was being secured at that time?
There was no police presence on scene, sir.
Okay. So that when you arrived, the scene had been left unsecured. Do you know how long it had been left unsecured?
I do not, sir.
So before you arrived, at least, and before your presence was known, for some time before you got there, that scene could have been accessed by anyone, to your knowledge?
Well, I think the weather played a good help in us with the scene security, because with that being fresh, undisturbed snow, and with the man tracking we do, we would be able to determine if anyone had access to that area.
Of course, of course. But you don't have any personal knowledge of anybody actually securing that scene for onlookers, bypassers, anybody that wanted access to it, they could have had it?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
Okay. You indicated that Lieutenant Tully first contacted you around, not around, but exactly at 2:32 p.m., correct?
That is correct, sir.
At that time, your team was not stood up. In other words, you were not activated because that was an initial call by Lieutenant Tully, not an activation call, correct?
Correct. That's a courtesy notification, sir.
And at that time, Lieutenant Tully had not received the proper protocol, the proper approvals through the protocol to actually have your team activate and have your team dispatched.
Yes, I think he'll normally, when we get activated, before they start the process going through their chain of command, they'll call me just to see if we're available and if we could actually respond instead of wasting other people's time calling us. If I were to say, no, we are already assigned on another mission at this time.
Right. So around 2:53, you indicated that one of your subordinates, Sergeant Simpson, notified the rest of the team that get ready, but we have not been given the green light, correct?
Correct, sir. Building an availability list of who could respond.
Okay. That was just a kind of a precursor, if you will, for lack of a better phrase, to make sure that you had the available personnel so when the green light, or if the green light came, you could activate.
Correct, and to help start giving people the heads up to start shoveling their driveway. Like I said, as soon as I received that call from Lieutenant Tully, I hadn't shoveled my driveway yet. Okay. I went out and had to go clear my driveway and my cruiser, and the end of my driveway, we usually get plowed in by our plows. We had several feet of snow at the end of my driveway, sir.
Lucky you.
Yes.
All right. Did Lieutenant Tully inform you in that first phone call that colleagues of his, Massachusetts State Police colleagues of his, were already en route to Dighton to retrieve or seize the SUV?
He did not say that, sir.
Did Lieutenant Tully inform you that Massachusetts State Police had actually contacted the Dighton Police Department for their assistance in potentially seizing that SUV?
He did not tell me that, sir.
Did he indicate to you, you indicated that your conversation was at 12:32, did he indicate that he had just gotten off the phone with Dighton PD at 12:31, just a minute prior?
Our phone call was at 2:32, sir.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if that can,
Did I say 12:32?
that's a different time you're looking to.
2:32, and he had just gotten off the phone with Dighton PD at 2:31. Did he indicate anything like that?
No, we did not, sir.
Okay. So we do know that at that 2:30-ish hour, you were not authorized to respond to the unit, to the location at that point. None of your units were en route at that point.
No, neither one of us had requested approval through our chain of command at that time, sir.
And you've already told us that you didn't head out until just after 4, sometime after 4 p.m.?
Yes. My GPS data has me leaving my driveway at 4:13 p.m.
Got it. Once you were at 34 Fairview, you arrived first, correct?
No, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, I mistook that. Tell me who did arrive first.
Trooper Busalil arrived at 4:54, and I pulled in just after him at 4:56, sir.
My mistake. When you first arrived, you were awaiting others of your team to arrive as well in their personal vehicles or their marked vehicles, correct?
They were still en route at that time, yes, sir.
When you got there, you did not know at that point where you were going to be directed to search, correct?
I did not know, sir.
All you knew was a residence and an address, correct?
Correct.
As your team members arrived, were they arriving in personal vehicles, cruisers, or some combination thereof?
I just realised something, Kev. We just went looking for it. I found him on day 19, O'Hara, on day 19. And Brandy hasn't given us any of his testimony notes, just the photos that he took. So I'll have to go find it on Sleuthy Goosey's link. Now, for F-bombs, those two spreadsheet links are now in the comment section on my channel so that you can go find those. And yeah, let's keep going.
They were all arriving in state-issued cruisers.
Okay, so all 7 of you arrived. There were 7 total, correct?
Correct. We, again, initially started 8. One member was not able to get off the end of their street due to plowing, so we were 1 member short from the original dispatch.
Understood.
So what I do expect is that AJ's going to be onto all of it and cleanly dissect this guy and leave his gizzards in the gutter. We'll see.
Lieutenant, when you arrived, given the fact that you did not know where you'd be searching, you've actually indicated previously that the flagpole, the fire hydrant, etc., that part of the lawn, that part of the yard was behind you as the cruisers pulled up and you parked your cruisers waiting for everybody to get there, correct?
When I arrived, I parked almost at the end of the driveway of that residence, sir.
Okay, was your tail facing the flagpole, or was your nose facing the flagpole?
Tail was facing the flagpole.
So you pulled up to the driveway, I'm guessing from Chapman?
Yes.
Heading north?
Correct, sir. Yes, from Chapman.
Okay, so you pulled over to the edge of the driveway, sort of on the wrong side of the street, I'm guessing.
Same side as 34 Fairview, sir.
Understood. So the area and the grid area that you ultimately decided to search and ultimately were directed to search, that was all behind you?
Yes, it was, sir.
And it was dark out, obviously?
Yes, it was, sir.
Getting dark?
It was dark. It was winter, so it was dark at 5 o'clock.
Your focus was certainly not on the area behind you at that point, correct?
As
a matter of fact, your focus wasn't really anywhere, was it? Because you didn't know where you were going to search.
Correct, sir.
Okay. Ultimately, your team members began to arrive one by one, and each one of them would stay in their car, or would they get out and come coordinate with you, like at your cruiser?
No, as they arrived on scene, they would come out because Lieutenant Tully had already arrived on scene. He was technically the 3rd member of the state police on scene.
Okay.
So once he got on scene, I was already out talking to him, and I was marking off the area we were going to search.
Understood. He ultimately, at some point, did direct you to a location behind you, which you were not currently focused on, toward the flagpole, the fire hydrant, you said.
Yeah, I wasn't focused on any area at that time, sir, no.
You marked those the areas out that Lieutenant Tully directed you to with some sort of grid coordinates, or was it just sort of a mental grid?
No, I wound up marking, stepping it off in the area I wanted to search, sir.
Did you use any string or rope or anything like that to physically grid the area off?
No, I just marked a line in the snow, sir, where I wanted to start and where we wanted to end.
And you did that with footprints?
No, with the shovel. I made a mark where we wanted to start and end,
I
sir.
see. So sort of dragging a shovel in the line.
Oh,
in the
just
snow.
where the berm was, sir.
Wow.
I knocked the berm down, made an obvious impression of where the shovel was.
Okay.
At the starting location where.
Can I just say, if I need an emergency response team, I ain't hiring this dude.
Ideally, I wanted to end.
Perfect. You indicated that the area that you were searching was relatively undisturbed snow. You said that in direct examination, correct?
It was undisturbed, yes, sir.
But the street, everything from the berm in, the street had been plowed, correct?
To a point, yes, sir.
All right, and so that would be disturbed snow.
Yeah, to a point, yes, sir.
And what was the point?
To where the snow that got plowed in it all rose up just like the end of your driveway would. There was a good 3 to 4 foot high barrier on each side of the street. Once you were able to knock down that initial barrier of snow, the level of snow dropped down to the normal depths that you would have seen in anyone's front lawn at that time, sir.
And is that what you're calling the undisturbed portion of the snow?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Lieutenant Tully told you that you were going to be looking for a man's shoe, a sneaker of some sort, or a shoe of some sort, correct?
He said sneaker, yes, sir.
And he told you that you'd be searching for plastic, red plastic, potentially from a taillight. Is that right?
I said taillight pieces, yes, sir.
Did he indicate that some of them would be red, some might be clear, might be a combination of the two?
He didn't indicate a color either way, sir.
He did direct you to where he believed you should search. It was his direction that sort of gave you your grid coordinates, correct?
He indicated where the vehicle had been parked and where the victim's body had been located and suggested that was the primary area to search.
Did he tell you whether or not he knew from personal knowledge where where John O'Keefe's body had been?
He did not, sir, no.
Did he tell you whether he had personal knowledge where any taillight material might be?
He did not know, sir.
Did he tell you that he had any personal knowledge where an impact site might have been?
He did not know.
Did he tell you that he had personal knowledge that there had been an impact site at the location?
No, he just said he believed the incident involved the vehicle.
Okay. One of your goals when looking at the search location was to obviously remove the snow as methodically as you could, correct?
Yes, sir.
You wanted to not only remove layers of snow, but then ultimately expose the layer beneath it with as little disturbance as possible. Is that right?
Correct, sir.
I think you noted that the plow had not plowed all the way to the curb, so the snowbank was sort of in the street, not in the yard, or at least a few inches from the curb line and not in the yard, correct?
Correct, sir. As I stated, as some of the responding members parked, they were thinking they were parking in a safe spot in the street, and their cruisers wound up being stuck at the end of the night.
And you and your team had some experience doing searches in snowy conditions, being from Massachusetts, I'm guessing.
Missing person searches, we've never been out for an evidence search in this specific type of conditions, but we have done missing person searches.
So this was the first time you and your team had executed a search of this nature in these kinds of conditions for these kinds of items?
In blizzard conditions, yes, for an evidence search, yes.
But you did.
Does anybody know what they're actually meant to do? Does anyone know what CERT is meant to do? Isn't it search and rescue?
CERT is a search and rescue, yeah. They testified today that originally last year or during the search there was one full-time member. I think it was 55 part-time. But since that they've increased it to 5 full-time and 60-something part-time.
Yeah. I was curious because I didn't want to have to sit through Lally asking him, how long have you been in CERT and what are all your qualifications and all the stuff until we found out what CERT actually was. CERT is not, in Massachusetts and other states, CERT is not search and rescue. It's law enforcement's tactical unit, usually under the state police or regional departments. What CERT actually does, their function is high-risk warrant service. Barricaded subjects, hostage situations, kind of like SWAT. Kind of like SWAT with a PR-friendly name. Tactical search operations in manhunts or when the subject is considered armed or dangerous. They're not search and rescue. Scene security during volatile cases, including homicide investigations with potential ongoing threats. Well, they failed at all of that fucking shit. Didn't they? Oh, we got some news. All right.
Yeah, you're gonna love this. Everybody is, I think.
Oh my god! All right, news break. That's the sound of the news break. Hang on, I fucking lost it. Where the hell is it? Okay. All right. So breaking news. Turtle Boy has won his motion to get all communications between Kate Peter, aka Krusty, aka Child Abuser, aka Child Neglector, and NCDA Michael Morrissey. Yes. Oh, what a tangle web we weaved. Indeed. Crazy town. That's good. He should have a motion to dismiss. He should have won the motion to dismiss, in my opinion. I don't know why he hasn't won his motion to dismiss. But anyway, breaking news. Yeah, hot off the press. Back to what we were doing. I freaking lost it. I got too many tabs open. Jesus H Christ. Where's the tab that we were just in? All right, let's continue with the AJ takedown.
It did indicate on direct examination that although it was blizzard conditions and the winds were high, and we've learned that windy conditions sort of define a blizzard in some respects, the visibility was relatively good.
Yeah, with our headlamps, we had pretty decent visibility.
I want to ask you a couple of questions about the techniques for conducting a search like this in some sort of snowfall. Obviously, as a specialist in searches, one of the things that you put as the highest priority is documenting exactly where the search is conducted, what techniques are used to conduct the search, and what, if anything, is found and exactly where it's found, correct?
Yes, documentation of your search is important, yes, sir.
You'd also want to document the time that things are found, correct?
Yes, you want those documented.
And you'd want to document the relative locations between and among items that are found. How close are they to each other? How close are they or far are they from a stable landmark, a static landmark, correct?
So we will mark items, sir.
Okay. Measuring
In between distances, they do get stamped when we mark our items. Measuring them would be at the discretion of the investigators themselves.
And obviously that would be among the best practices to clearly document how a search is conducted, correct?
Correct, sir.
Another way to document the evidence or the search is to do it through either video evidence or photographic techniques, right? Just photographing, forensic photographs of where things are found, contextual photographs moving into close-up photographs, correct?
That would be at the discretion of the detective, sir.
And in this case, that discretion lay with Lieutenant Tully, correct?
Yeah, he was the incident commander, correct, sir.
You indicated a number of hand tools that you brought with you to the search to make sure that you had the tools necessary to get through the snow and get to the items that if there were any items out there, to get to the items you were looking for. Is that right?
Correct, sir.
And you did, in fact, remove layer by layer of snow and sort of sift through it as best you could, correct?
Yes, sir.
That also included some shovels where a shovel full of snow might be gathered and then turned over, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. That was done somewhat methodically, is that right?
Yes, it was, sir.
And you wanted to make sure that you weren't missing anything as you were digging through the top layers of snow and getting down to something closer to the surface, correct?
Correct, sir.
And at that time, what was the level of snow, if you can estimate it? How much snowfall?
I believe the area, not living that far from that location myself, was anywhere from 15 to 18 up to maybe 20 inches in certain towns.
And again, this is after 5:45, 5:48 in the evening of January 29th.
When the first item was discovered, it was 5:45.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, a search of this complexity and with this many individuals and with those conditions required some level of significant coordination by you and your team, correct?
Yes, sir.
You had to account for all the personnel who were there, is that right?
Correct, sir.
That included, I'm going to go through a quick list, Bearden, Beausoleil, Carrier, Luis, O'Brien, O'Hara, you, and Biscardi, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So there were 7 individuals as well, Lieutenant, as 7 vehicles to account for, to make sure you're not driving over the wrong areas, walking over the wrong areas, standing over the wrong areas, correct?
Correct, sir.
And not only did you have to account for those 7 officers, each of whom arrived in their own vehicles, you also had to make sure that those vehicles were positioned in the right spot to make sure you don't drive over the area that you need to search and might be impacted by your cars, correct?
Yes, sir. After Lieutenant Tully arrived on scene, the remaining cruisers never came past the initial location of where we believe the incident occurred.
Before he came on scene, the cruisers that were there were down toward the driveway, closer to where you were, and you, of course, were positioned with your back to the location that ultimately was searched, correct?
Yes, sir. That was 2 of the 7 cruisers, yes.
Okay.
Before AJ goes on, I just want to interrupt for 1 second because I'd always been sus on the CERT team being there because I never thought that they were actually professional, search and rescue. But even though it says SERT, that's not actually what it stands for. So, as I just explained, they're actually a special emergency response team. They're not search and rescue. What they're not meant to be doing is conducting forensic grid searches in a homicide scene. They're not meant to be handling or discovering evidence without chain of custody documentation. He just finished saying that was the police doing the chain of custody documentation. Using shovels as markers instead of evidence flags or laser grids, and operating a scene in front of the homeowner. He hasn't got to that part yet, but apparently Brian Albert was standing on his doorstep watching them do it. So searching with the shovels is like more akin to a Home Depot edition TV show. It's not CSI. So Tully telling them where to look is eyewitness coaching. They're not even supposed to be investigators. And Brian watching from the front door is a conflict of interest on full display. So those are just some of the things that I had noted about what was wrong with this picture. This guy should never have been on the scene to begin with. Not suited, not the right task force for what they wanted.
Once you learned where you wanted to search, you literally had to sort of physically turn things around to begin searching behind where you had originally positioned yourself. No fault of your own, you just didn't know where to go. You had to sort of turn around and go backward toward the area of the flagpole, away from the area of the driveway, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so as you began to focus on the other side of the house, the other side of the driveway, you had to actually reposition a couple of the cruisers. You didn't have to, but you chose to reposition a couple of the cruisers to turn their lights back around, correct?
That is correct, sir.
At some point, you've indicated that there were other individuals who you noticed were at the scene. Is that right?
Yes, there were non-CERT members on scene, sir.
Okay. And those non-CERT members included, or they numbered, at least 5 individuals, not including Lieutenant Tully. Is that right?
I believe that includes Lieutenant Tully, sir. I believe it was 5 total.
Okay, so 5 does include Lieutenant Tully. There were 4 others that were non-CERT members, correct?
Correct, sir.
And those were members, I think you've earlier testified that those were members of either Massachusetts State Police or Canton Police or both. Is that right?
I believe it was both, yes, sir.
And you did not recognize those individuals?
I recognized one of the state police members. I believe a second one was also a state police member that I'm not familiar with.
Okay.
And then 2 other members that I believe were Canton Police, but again, not familiar with them.
And these individuals were, obviously, it's dark. You're not paying attention to them. You're not paying attention to what they're doing. They probably have hats and hoods and gloves on, I'm guessing.
Well, they didn't arrive on scene right away, so we were already well into our search before they even arrived on scene. The only one who was on scene originally was Lieutenant Tully.
If you weren't paying close attention to those 4 officers, those additional 4 officers, how do you know exactly what time they arrived on scene?
They weren't in the area we were searching, so they came on scene after we were already on our line searching, sir.
So they may have been in the area, but you didn't see them until your line search had already begun, and you made note of them, correct?
Correct. I don't know when the exact time they arrived on scene, sir, but they weren't on scene when we started our search.
Or they weren't in your vision when they started your search?
No, they weren't on scene, sir.
Okay. But you don't know, as you sit here, you can't say what time they showed up?
I do not know, sir.
And did they come at your direction?
They did not.
Did they come at the direction of any of your staff members, any of your colleagues?
No, we did not request them, sir.
Okay. So they were there for some reason other than why you were there?
That's correct, sir.
I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
These individuals, you noted they were...
One of the reasons that Judge Bev won't let him have the FBI guy come and testify, I think his name was Easter, Michael Easter, she won't let him come and testify because this whole cert team thing was ridiculous. It was never meant to be. So the correct body that should have come out was the CSS body. And they would have come out with laser digital lasers to grid the property out properly, to search grid by grid in a proper manner. They might have had CERT come out to stop anyone from entering the area while they were doing their CSS. But yeah, this is the wrong people for the job. I think I vaguely recall someone testifying in the last trial that they called CSS, but they didn't want to come out because of the blizzard, I think. So that's from what I can remember from the last trial. I don't know if that was actually said in the last trial or if that was just something I assumed from how they testified in the last trial. But, oh, fuck, I nearly shut the whole thing down on us. Dope. But anyway, yeah, that's where I'm thinking things went wrong here. Like they went wrong from this CERT guy, and that's why Bev doesn't want Easter testifying, because he's going to say CERT were the wrong people for this job. They're not trained to do this job. They don't have the equipment to do this job. They're not provided with the equipment to do this job. So the type of equipment that you want if you're CSS, they process the crime scene, they photograph and document the evidence properly, not with fucking phones and then ditch their phones. They collect and preserve the physical items. They document it as well. Blood, fiber, DNA, ballistic, whatever. They establish and maintain chain of custody in a proper manner, and they coordinate with the Office of Chief Medical Examiner. So they're coordinated with Scotty Bello, not the police. So what the equipment is that they use is like laser mapping, as I just said, evidence flags, digital imaging, and proper logging, tagging, and secure transfer protocols. So if they found a piece of evidence, it would have got a little colored flag with a number on it, and then that would have been charted onto a little map. They didn't do any of that shit. I almost did rage quit, Kevy. I almost did.
Very funny, Michelle.
Not certified. Right. So yeah, I don't think these were the right team, and I think that was going to be Bev's major dispute with having Michael Easter up, because they were probably exposed that the entire CERT investigation is rubbish, essentially. So I just put the 2 and 2 together.
Either from, I think you said 2 from Massachusetts State Police and 2 from Canton Police, correct?
Yeah, including Lieutenant Tully, it would probably be three MSP and 2 Canton Police, sir.
Okay. Excluding Lieutenant Tully, who was working very closely with you, the other 4 individuals, they were in full uniform or they were plain clothes?
Plain clothes, sir.
And your focus, once you began your search, once you stood up the team, turned your cars around, and realized exactly the grid where you were going to search, that's what your focus was on, correct?
Yeah, I was focused on our search area, correct, sir.
And when you're searching a line, for instance, if it's a a line that extends to your right or to your left. The search that you're conducting is literally right directly in front of you, correct?
Well, you're always looking left or right because you're staying online with your teammates, so you always have a full view of the scene you're searching, sir.
Understood. I'm not saying that you look down and never look up again, but I'm saying that your focus, the main focus of your search, is directly in front of you. That's why you do a line search, so you can take small steps, search in front of you, move forward, search in front of you as a line, almost an entity, a single entity moving forward, correct?
That is best practice, yes, sir.
That's how you make sure you don't miss an overturned leaf that you need to overturn, that there might be a knife under or a gun under or something like that, or a bullet casing, something like that, correct?
Correct, sir.
Or a taillight, right?
Correct, sir.
All right, so as your focus is, your world sort of collapses a little bit. Your focus is in front of you. You're obviously working with your team members left and right. You're moving forward very, very gently, very methodically, very technically as you move forward, and the whole line moves forward on that grid, correct?
Correct, sir.
So you're not necessarily paying attention to what's happening behind you, off in the distance, in the dark, to your left far, to your right far. That's not what your focus is on, at least at that moment, correct?
No, sir. Our focus is forward as we're moving forward into our search area.
Thank you. In addition to the 5 individuals, Lieutenant Tully included, and the other 4, there was also another person that made contact with you from 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes, when we first arrived on scene, someone had exited the residence onto the front steps, front porch area, possibly, of that mudroom.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Of that mudroom, so that right door, the exit, the door closest to the garage, sir.
Can you describe that person for us?
It was an adult male wearing a hooded sweatshirt.
Did that person approach you or one of your team members?
No, he never left the front door area.
Did he say anything to you or one of the team members?
He asked if we were here for what happened earlier. We replied yes, and he turned and went back inside the residence.
And as you sit here, you don't know who that person is?
I do not, sir, no.
But he's a male, I'm guessing middle-aged?
It was not a child, sir. It was definitely an adult male, sir.
Adult male wearing a hooded sweatshirt?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sorry. Right, Tracy. So that was what I remembered was testified to in the last trial. They wouldn't come out because of the weather, but that's just dumb because CSI are trained, they're the ones who are trained to do shit in the snow. That is their training. So, sorry, we can't process your crime scene because there might be snow later. It doesn't hold up in my book. As far as I'm concerned, it's insultingly lazy bullshit because we're talking about an officer-involved death, right? And it's also a scene involving another officer's home. So that's what CSS is for. I don't think they did. I think they're just lying. I think they either downplayed the scene to CSS so they wouldn't come, like, as you say, told them he wasn't dead yet, so it wasn't yet a homicide, or they outright lied just to justify the fact that they didn't preserve the evidence properly. It's one of the two, right? So it might actually be a bit of both, that they downplayed the scene and O'Keefe's condition in flat out lying to CSS so that they wouldn't come out. So that's what it looks like to me, essentially. And it is a load of bullcrap. Now, I'm just going to pause for 1 second and go through some super chats because I've had them started for ages. Super chat, $20. Thank you so much, Tamster. Question off current topic. Where was Higgins' vehicle? Ryan Nagel. The whole time Ryan Nagel was by the driveway watching Karen's brake lights go on and off. Well, they've dropped the Higgies vehicle. Well, Jen certainly didn't mention it, so it seems like they've dropped Higgies vehicle being there. It's no longer there. Check out Larry Foreman 3 hours ago. He called Ali McCabe, said John was in the house. Yes, I've got that exact piece of Ali's testimony saying that on my channel. So thank you so much, Ginger, for the super chat. Okay, let's go back now. It wasn't a it wasn't a crime scene yet. Lol. Right? Lol.
You testified that you recovered. Having a hard time speaking. It's been a long day. I apologize. We'll try that again. You testified that you recovered a piece of plastic first before you recovered the shoe, or do I have that backwards?
No, there was one piece of taillight located before the shoe, sir.
Understood. You've also indicated that of the, I think you said 6 or 7 total pieces of plastic that were found, that all of those pieces of plastic and the shoe were found basically right next to each other, correct?
So here's the thing. How shitty is their search team if they didn't find 47 pieces of plastic? How shitty are they? They like do this whole grid search by drawing lines in the snow with their shovel, and then they fail the grid search. Like, Jesus Christ.
I don't know the exact distances, but they weren't too far apart, some several inches to others maybe a foot or two. I don't know the exact distances, sir.
Without assigning an exact measurement down to the millimeter, Lieutenant, you've earlier indicated that all of the pieces and the shoe, relative to each other, it's just relative to each other, were found within a foot or so of each other, correct?
Eyeball, again, as the distance I just said, sir, from inches to maybe a couple of feet. I know they all are geomarked with exact coordinates that, could be measured out at a later time, which, again, would have been at the purview of the detectives, but we did not measure them. Again, all eyeball that night.
Understood. When I say, and it may have been a bad question on my part, Lieutenant, and if it was, I apologize. When I say a foot, within a foot of each other, I don't mean a foot apart. All of them you've earlier testified would be inside of a foot total, correct? Or maybe 2 feet now?
I don't think they'd be quite that close, sir. I think they were maybe in between each item, sir, or close to it.
I have just a moment, Your Honor. Okay.
So just to clear that up for you, Tracy, CERT is actually SWAT in other states. It's the same as a SWAT team. You don't use a SWAT team to find missing people in the woods. But just so you know, it's actually equivalent to SWAT in other states.
I know this isn't necessarily a memorization contest about your prior testimony, but do you remember testifying about this specific issue? Here I go again. I can't speak. This specific issue about a year ago, and another, back in 2022 at a grand jury?
Yes, I did, sir.
Okay. Do you remember exactly how you described where everything was with relative, May 5th, as a matter of fact, at the grand jury, relative to each other? Do you remember how you testified exactly?
I believe I said within a few inches or a foot away. Yes, sir.
Excellent. You've rattled off times and dates like I've never seen before. So it's exactly what you said. So within a few inches of each other, maybe a foot is what you said, correct?
That's what I said, yes, sir.
Okay, so if it's maybe within a foot, this is an 11 and a half by 8.5 piece of paper, maybe an area a little larger than this, correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay. As you found items of evidence, did you alert Lieutenant Tully to that specific piece of evidence?
Yes, so I was not one of the members who found any of the evidence, but as my team members located something, we would halt the line. Lieutenant Tully was a short distance behind our line. We would get his attention. We would cease our operations until he informed us that he felt it was properly documented.
And ultimately, Lieutenant Tully was the person responsible for documenting that item, is that right?
That is, sir. We fall under the incident command structure. He technically took the lead as the incident commander that night, sir.
And he did that through photography?
Yes, sir.
So you saw him taking pictures of the items in their place once they were found, correct?
Yeah, I believe he was the one taking photographs, sir.
And by definition, Lieutenant, as a search like this is being conducted, unfortunately, moving snow means possibly moving the items themselves, correct?
Potentially, yes, sir.
They might end up in a shovel full of snow, you turn it upside down. That's not what a piece of evidence was to begin with, correct?
Correct. It's been moved at that point.
But in this case, nearly all of the pieces that you did find, including the shoe, were nearly next to each other, meaning within inches of one another, correct?
I don't know the exact distance again, sir. Ballpark eye distance, but again, that is why we provided the GPS coordinates of each location, because we did stamp those with a handheld GPS as we found items of evidence, and all those locations were turned over with our report to be measured at the desire of the detective, sir.
So you stamped everything with a GPS that's not accurate. We just established from Ian Whiffen that they could be up to 30 meters inaccuracy or 30 feet inaccuracy. So that's what you chose to use to stamp it with. So this is why you don't get cert in. This is why you don't get a SWAT light in to do the CSI's job. Like, bloody hell. The most inaccurate way to stamp where they found things in the whole fucking world is the one that they used.
Certainly, using that very impressive memory of yours, your memory back in May of 2022, May 5th of 2022, was that they were within inches of each other.
I believe that's what I stated, yes, sir.
Okay. Ultimately, you indicated that the search, after about 6 or 7 pieces were found, as well as the shoe, the search was suspended just after 6 o'clock, correct?
Approximately 6:15-ish, sir, we stopped. We'd gone, like I stated earlier, we'd gone approximately 8 to 10 feet further south on the row without recovering any other pieces of taillight. We knew we had already located the sneakers, so we decided to suspend the search at that time until possibly a future date.
Oh.
And you were never called back out to the scene by Lieutenant Tully or anybody?
Now he says they suspended the search, not that they finished it. So that explains why they didn't find the other 47 pieces or 40 pieces.
Anybody else, correct?
No, we were not, sir.
And did you become aware that over the next days and weeks and days and several weeks, there would be 40 more pieces of taillight claimed to be recovered at the scene? Did you become aware of that or no?
I was aware other pieces were located. I did not know that was the number, and I don't know exactly when I became aware of that. It was probably much later on, possibly at this location when I learned that information, sir.
And you don't know, as you sit here, you don't know whom it was that recovered those additional pieces, correct?
No, I've never seen the evidence log, sir.
And you don't know.
All right, give me 1 sec. I'm going to let this play out for a sec, but I need a fresh coffee, okay? So you might have to listen to Last Word Lally or something while I'm making coffee, but I'll try to get back as quickly as possible.
When those additional pieces were claimed to have been recovered?
I do not know.
When Lieutenant Tully and you had a conversation about shutting down the scene, was Lieutenant Tully's comment to you after those first few pieces were found that he was, quote, very satisfied that you had recovered everything that you were going to recover from that night, from that search?
Objection.
Sustained.
Mr. Brennan asked you about the conversation that you had with Lieutenant Tully to shut the scene down, to clear the scene, correct?
Yes, so we conducted a debrief, and I gave him, again, as I mentioned earlier, we provide a probability of detection. I tell him what the chances are. I think we found our items we were looking for, and we determined to suspend the search.
Do you remember testifying last year that Lieutenant Tully indicated that he was very satisfied with what was found.
I don't know if I used the word very satisfied, but he was satisfied that evening that we had found everything we were going to find that night, sir.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Okay.
Do you remember exactly what you indicated Lieutenant Tully's words were as you sit here?
I believe, yes, he was satisfied with the search. I just don't know if he used the word very satisfied or not, sir.
Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at your transcript?
I'm sure it will, sir.
It's the one thing you didn't remember. Man. Thank you. Highlighted portion, Lieutenant.
Thank you, sir. I'm just going on the date. Is this from last year, or would this be from the grand jury, sir?
June of last year.
Okay. Yes, sir. So it does state here that I stated he was very satisfied with the search.
Does that refresh your recollection that was the words that he used, or at least you remembered him using at that time?
Yeah, I believe, to the best of my recollection, sir.
Fair.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lieutenant. May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Lieutenant, there was one other thing that I wanted to ask you about, which is you had indicated to Lieutenant Tully at some point close to 6 p.m. or so, it would be helpful if you and your team had a photograph of what it was you were looking for, correct?
Yeah, I believe after we found the first piece or two, I asked him if he had a photograph that we could look at just to see how large of an area, how large of a piece we were looking for, sir. Yes.
Fine. So that would, just timing-wise, if you found the first piece at 5:45, first piece or two, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 minutes later, after that, maybe 5 minutes later, so let's place it at 5:50, close to 6, something like that?
Yeah, probably between 5:45 and 5:50 possibly, sir.
And you said to him at the time it'd be helpful if we had a photograph of what it is we're looking for, correct?
Yeah, I said that would help, yes, sir.
And Lieutenant told you that the vehicle did not have a photograph because it was still en route from Dighton being transported to Canton, right?
He did say he did not have a photograph and it was being towed back.
Okay. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you.
Oh, it's Brennan.
So,
do we want to listen to Brennan, give him CPR? Joe Flipper says, take notice of where O'Hara says they found the tail light. Here's a hint. It was on the road, not the lawn. Interesting. We need to see the accident reconstructionist diagrams on all those GPS locations because I don't think they were shown. Were they? Hang on. I don't think we see where. So this where we see the photos that they took. And like you can just tell by the quality of these photos that they're not using proper CSI photography equipment. Yeah, we don't actually get to see
A, please. Without blowing it up, if you could go back.
all that color wasn't in the
Is
first
73A
one.
a picture from further away of the same piece?
Yes, that's what it appears to be, sir.
Was it easier to see these pieces that night in person than it is in photos, or was there any difference in the ability to identify these pieces?
Objection, Your Honor. Sustained.
When you saw the piece from where you were standing, could we see 75A, please? Is that a closer picture of the same item?
Yes.
Yeah, there's no other pictures there actually. Postmodern phone cameras are good enough, just these Muppets don't know how to use them. I don't think postmodern cameras are actually the same quality as the CSI cameras, Kevin. I know they're good, but they're not the same thing. No video of their search. Sorry, misread that. No video of the search. Right, so AJ is king of hey Lon Tully, thanks for joining us. King of foundational questions. These all set up for Tully later. I don't know if it's Tully, but he's setting up a lot of shit for someone later. It could be their own experts come up. He might be setting up for their own experts to talk about these things. These aren't the originals. I don't think they are either. But even if they aren't the originals, they're still not taken with a 30mm lens CSI camera. 1995 Polaroid self-developing camera. These look like my memory of those photos. Snap, wait 5 minutes. Poof, poor photo. Yes. We are supposed to just trust them, and they didn't just drop them. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Exactly. Sprinkle some crack. Oh, yeah, some of the chips on him. Yes, exactly. Waving them around in the air. Right, so let's we got him doing that same thing. I don't know if he changed any of his testimony, but obviously everyone's tightening up their testimony to make things sound like a lot tighter than they were in Lali's trial. So what do you reckon, Kevy?
I don't know. What do you reckon?
I reckon it's still a shit show, but it's actually a tidier shit show than it was. Like the courtroom decorum seems to be like a little bit more courtroomy.
It does. I'm just a bit annoyed with the defence not making more of how the stories are all changing.
I think they will.
Filling over all the cracks from the previous testimonies.
I think they will, because they still got their case in chief and closing statements yet. So they're not free to just make comments right now. They need to do it at the right time. It's got to be introduced with the right evidence. And then they can make comments bring on experts to talk about those things that they raise. Then in closing arguments, point out all the inconsistencies. They can't just do it off the bat with any witness on the stand. They got a specific.
They seem to have pulled well back from the conspiracy thing. They're not pushing it as hard this time around.
I think from what I can gather, they're just letting the letting the jury come to that word themselves rather than saying it out loud.
Yeah, but you think if they were trying to do that, that they would be pointing out more how these stories are changing over time. They did it with a couple of the witnesses early on, but for some reason they let the cops go today. Especially the bit about the guy not knowing who was on the search originally, and then lo and behold today he magically knows who everybody was, and the time changed.
Right. Hey Ya by Outkast. It was a good song. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the idea that they're pulling back from the conspiracy and going more for the reasonable doubt. But I also feel like they're winding the conspiracy into this story by showing how inconsistent everybody is, as well as letting the jury come to that word by their own brains, basically. I kind of like it. I like this approach. I understand it's probably going to piss people off who wanted that go for the throat kind of attitude.
No, I prefer it. I'm delighted they've pulled back a little.
You are delighted.
It's just noticeable that they've pulled back from the conspiracy side and the third party culprit thing. They're like you said, they're letting the jury come to the conclusions on their own, but raising the reasonable doubt. That's all they need to do.
Right.
I just think there's some things should be highlighted, like that point I made about the cop not knowing who was on the scene originally.
Right.
In the previous trial, and then magically today he knows who everybody was.
They certainly got better memories about some things and worse memories about others. Obviously, it's selective, right?
Yeah. Well, I've never seen so memories improve so much over 3 years. It seems to be a theme.
Oh my God. Check this out. This is that bloody Julie Carp. She come after me on my channel. I was like, do you really want to tackle me, an Australian citizen, under defamation laws in Australia rather than in your country? And she shut up and went away. Yeah.
I'm just reading a post here from Brandy Churchill. It's a great point. She says, at 6:14, John was taken to the ambulance and Kerry said there was grass underneath him. Yet Gallagher arrives on the scene and he said he didn't see where John O'Keefe had been. But Lang told him. So, more lies.
Yeah, it's not fitting together.
It doesn't fit together.
Here's Julie Carpenter carrying on like a fucking pork chop. It's on the screen. She's like, so someone's like, folks, has Aiden's bail been revoked per this 5-5 order on the docket? Keeping an eye on it. Julie Carp, no, the motion is denied. His bail was not revoked.
I look at coffin doofus underneath, unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Aiden.
I see.
Things are not very explained.
Coffin never turned down a challenge from Larry, the DUA guy.
She did.
For an online debate.
Oh my God.
He's going after her.
That's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't debate her. I'd need a box of wine to bloody get on her wavelength. I couldn't do it unless I had a box a lot.
That's my usual troll in her comments, is the box wine thing. She just has that look about her.
Lieutenant O'Hara testified that that the search began at 5:24. A state police memo at 5:53 said that they didn't have the green light to begin searching yet. Dun dun dun! Hit your dun 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 emoticons, guys, because that's worthy. Okay, some of you are asking about who this Michael Welsh fellow is. So he's a Massachusetts law esquire. practices in Massachusetts under Michael Welsh law, I think it is. I can't actually see. Let me get it bigger on the screen. Yes, Michael Welsh law. And the Karen Reid trial caught his attention, not because anyone was specifically putting it in his face, but because of his own experience with the same people. So when he started watching it and started realizing what was going on, because it was so similar to what happened to him, that's how he got involved in the Karen Reid case, not the other way around. We didn't go out looking for this guy and say, you should jump on the bandwagon. It's because of his experience with the Mass State Police that he decided Karen Reid trial looked very similar to what was done to him. So if we go to his, for those who didn't know, he's been posting, snippets about his case and who they were and why they did it. It was basically, just to summarize it, instead of going through all of them, his wife was actually friends with everybody in Morrissey's office. There's Morrissey there. His wife was friends with all of these people. And so she claimed a false DV against him, got him locked up for 60 days. It's the same story that's going on with Aidan Carney and fake victim. So same story, only it got a lot worse for Michael Welsh than it has been for Aidan. I can't say better or worse, because they both spent 60 days in jail. They both got the bails revoked. It was the same playbook that Aidan's going through. But I believe Michael Welsh ended up winning some of his cases. So, but anyway, that's who he is. So, for those who were asking, Bev going to decide AJ gets 9 minutes at closing, probably. His wife was in the DA's office. He wasn't. His wife was. And that's who got, the DA's office come after him, essentially. We didn't need to see, hey Bob, how's it going? Didn't need to see the videos over and over again to know it snows in Massachusetts. Now the Karen Reid trial has her own weatherman. Lol. So that was all very interesting. Do we have anything else interesting, Kevy?
I have nothing lined up. I did put up a comment there, another comment from Brandy.
We got the breaking news. We got the Judge Doolan being harassed. Did I cover that yet?
Oh yeah, she was pointing out, she was putting her podcast together, and she pointed out that Gallagher kept calling it a medical episode. And he said it 5 times on the stand, where he never said it before in the previous trial.
Right.
It looks like they're trying to downplay it. It wasn't a murder, or it wasn't a death, or
right.
It was just a medical episode. Why are they trying to downplay it?
Yeah, I didn't catch all of Gallagher's testimony, so I'm going to have to. I will be catching up with all of these. For those who are thinking I'm way behind, I am, but I will be catching up with them all, because I've got to do, all the testimonies for the mashups. So it's okay. I will be up to speed soonish. So this person is saying that Judge Doolan is being harassed and intimidated and threatened by people who hate Dr. Turtleboy. And I thought that was very interesting, because bring it on. Go harass that judge. Be assholes to him, because at some stage he's got to realize that what's going on with Turtleboy is actually that, because they're coming at him. They're just going to prove it, aren't they?
Yeah, where's Tully with his arrest warrant for intimidation?
Sorry, say again.
I'm saying, where's Tully with his warrant for intimidation to arrest these people?
These people, right? It's a judge, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, there's a judge. That's a much more serious offence.
Was I not paying attention? It was hard, okay, Carol? Just take Brennan's word for it. It was hard, okay? My closing argument would be a mashup video of everyone saying Jen McCabe told me. Right? That's all I gotta do at this stage, right? But yeah. Oh, cross your heart, bros. Bob.
Cross your heart from Playtex. We used to get them here too.
Featuring Jane Mansfield.
Oh, stop! You're bringing back happy memories, Bob. The innocent days, huh?
But yeah, I don't know what the post was that was originally shared because now it's gone. It must have come from a Turtle Boy.
The one I shared?
Yeah, it must have come from a Turtle Boy, because it says x.com. Turtle Boy exposed. Oh, it come from Dickface. And they deleted it.
Hold on a second.
That Turtle Boy exposed channel that was harassing me on YouTube. That's where it came from.
I have it here if you want it. Is this the letter?
Hang on. Where am I looking? When you say, is this, what am I looking at?
Hold on a second. I'm looking at different screens. You're not on my screen here at the minute.
Yeah, where you can see here, it says this post is unavailable. And it was that Turtle Boy exposed. Like, whoever's running that account is a fucking moron because they keep exposing themselves. What they think they're doing is exposing Turtle Boy, but every time they do something, it's actually exposing themselves. Like, fucking morons.
Which post are you looking for?
Look at the screen. Look at the screen, and you can see where.
Okay. Well, I think it was shared from somebody else's, so they must have deleted their post.
Well, Turtle Boy. This is saying Turtle Boy exposed deleted their post, but whoever they shared it from is probably still there.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any fucking shame.
Hold on a second. Let's see if I can find it.
They make complete fucking fools of themselves, and they have no fucking shame whatsoever. And the fact that Turtle Boy exposed deleted it is not because they have shame. It's because that obviously they got fucking threatened to be arrested or something. Oh my God, that's a good point, Lisa. And he proved, due to the Windchill factor, there was no way John could be outside for 5 hours. Love when they turn a prosecution witness into a defense witness. Indeed.
Yeah, it's not on Aidan's channel anyway.
Ronnie says, most fiction I read makes more sense than Commonwealth's theory of the case. All right. Mute yourself while you're tucketing. All right. What's our next? What's our next project? I had a go at Kevy earlier because his keyboard's loud, and he's going to replace his keyboard. I'm like, get a soft touch, please. Get yourself a soft touch. He can't get past the boobs. Cosgrove tries to violate him 3 times and then scoffs off an affidavit that they will try and violate him again. No, he's just going to keep doing it. Tracy, thank you for being on X. I just can't believe. Oh, I just can't be on it. Yes, that's cool. I don't mind showing you what's going on over on X and getting the news for you if you can't handle being on the X. I find it actually pretty good because I'm very liberal with the block button. If I can't stand your shit, you just get blocked. Hey, what's this? Hey, wait, what's this? Mic drop. Chris Albert got called out tonight. Hang on. 3 hours ago. Radio, this is new. More breaking news. Let's have a squeeze over here.
Canton Select Board.
Yeah, they're usually pretty quiet, so I'll knock the volume up.
Portion of public comment is directed at Mr. Chris Albert. Last time he was in a meeting, towards the end of the meeting, he stated that there was misinformation and disinformation regarding a specific speaker. Well, I'm here to question him about misinformation and disinformation and his past experiences with misinformation and disinformation, in particular with me, charging me with a crime that was misinformation and disinformation. Allegations that were false towards me. And there were others.
We are outraged.
That were proven through the court systems to be disinformation and misinformation. So how dare you sit on that board and accuse someone else, yeah, I'm looking at you, Chris, of misinformation and disinformation, when you yourself spread it on a daily basis? You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, dude.
You do not do this town any service with your actions. I hold a sign on a weekly basis that requests your resignation. Why don't you do the town a favor and honor that?
There you go. Now, apparently there's another one. Give me a sec. Oh, shit. Where did it go? Got too many tabs open again. Apparently there's another one in here.
Needs of our community before your own. And as a friendly, he again broke your ethics standards, even though you refused to give me a copy. This Sunday, when he was yelling at Paige going into CF McCarthy's for simply wearing Free Care and Read merchandise. So that's your select board member sitting in the front of the room yelling at people because of something they're wearing. Nobody had started with him. Nothing had antagonized him. They were walking into a restaurant, and he was yelling loser at them. So,
Loser.
time to resign, Chris. And sweet tonight.
That's Jen.
Chris
I think her
Albert, will
name's
you
Jen.
resign and put the needs of our community before your own?
Yep. Resign, a-hole. Okay.
From our Select Board Administrative Code, the board recognizes that it both represents and is accountable to all citizens of the town. It's time to establish policy holding leadership accountable. We want consequences, keyword consequences, for elected and appointed positions in town enforceable by policy. The reprehensible behavior of the Police Audit Committee Chair, Bob McCarthy, was an absolute total disgrace. Shame on the former and current board members that played a part in that. Shame on Randy Scollins, who appointed him. And let's not forget the role town council played in that debacle either. Mr. McCarthy's behavior is a direct reflection on all of you. And spare me the cock and bull story, nobody could do anything about it. That was your intention when you manipulated the article. 323232 sound familiar? What a disgrace. Commitment, decorum, and accountability are paramount and need to be formalized into policy. Not a vote by your buddies and sorry we couldn't do anything about it, but consequences driven by policy. Mr. Alberts missed 20% of these meetings since his election. That lack of commitment is unacceptable and needs to be addressed. We also witnessed Mr. Albert threatening physical harm to a restaurant patron and laughing with a gang of thugs in the process. That event itself warrants automatic dismissal. Your apology was full of excuses without accepting responsibility, Mr. What a joke. You don't get to play the victim card. The only victim was the person you threatened. Public pressure is part and parcel of being a public official. If you're so stressed out you're lashing out, you shouldn't be making decisions that affect the lives of 25,000 people. The position requires effective leadership. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. We're protesting in Canton Center for Mr. Albert's resignation until he's gone, one way or the other. His support system's crumbling with Theodore and Conley gone. Helena has one foot out the door, and don't bother looking to Mr. Loughran for help. He's the next failed leader on our bucket list. There's been decades of intimidation while leadership did absolutely nothing. The power of our voice and our vote says those days are gone. We're not your kids, not your employees, and we're not your subjects. We're the citizens that for this room, this building, and every single item on every single agenda in this town. Open meeting law demands respect. This board is accountable to the citizens and has a duty to implement formal policy requiring accountability with consequences for all town officials ASAP. Welcome to Canton's pep rally. We're here to remind you that gavel is not a crown. Everyone sitting in those chairs acts appropriately or they lose their seat, period. And we won't lose any sleep over it. Remember, we're the Terminators. We'll be back again and again.
Oh my God, that was good. We're the Terminators. We'll be back. I love it. Let's see what else is in there. Sounds like Chrissy was under fire the whole time, hey? Yep, that's it. Interesting.
There's a lot of bras on there tonight.
I don't know why. I don't even wear them, so why is it showing me bra ads? Like, hello.
It's a good job Glen Lake's disappeared.
Exactly. So there you go. I just realized I had my messages open. That was a boo-boo. Sorry, Compo. All right. So yeah, so there's some I wish, Tracy, I wish. But it was really good to see that dude, they just mentioned him, I can't think of his name now. McCarthy got voted out, so that was good. Get rid of the Canton Lopers.
Connolly was it Connolly that got voted out, no?
Or Connolly. It was McCarthy. I can't remember his name. One of them got voted.
That's Morrissey's twin.
Right. Morrissey's twin. So yeah, that was good to see. And there's a lady in his place, I can't think of her name, but she has been running for that. And there's also, oh my God, the lady who's running for Morrissey's position, she's bloody awesome too.
Yeah, that's going to be, it's next year, I think, that election, isn't
it? When is Morrissey going?
I think he's up next year for election.
I think it was 25, actually. When is the DA up for election again? All right. When I ask too many questions, shit slows down somehow. Bob Connolly, I think that's who it was. He got voted out off the select board, right?
Say again, sorry, Michael Connolly, was it?
Bob Connolly. I think Michelle's.
Connolly, yeah.
I think Michelle's got it right. Me and Noun, stupid.
The 3rd of November is the election. The primary is on the September 8th, 2026.
2026. Ah,
Yeah.
that's a long way to go.
Another 18 months or 15 months.
Yeah, I just gotta kick this fucking stupid chat GPT in the ass. Like, I'm asking about DA Morrissey and Massachusetts, and it answers me with Trump election. I'm like, what the fuck has that got to do with anything?
I wouldn't mind. You'd expect that from Grok, but I got the answer straight away. No Trump. Surprise, surprise.
What the fuck planet are you on today, chat? Chat GPT, that is. Okay, I got it. November, it says here.
Yeah, November 3rd is the election, but the primary is on the the 8th of September.
Right. Yes, well, the lady who's running against him, God, I hope she gets in.
Yeah, hopefully there's one or two more. Well, maybe not. You don't want to split the vote either.
No, you want all the vote to go to one because so you've got half a chance of winning against him because he just has everybody in his fucking pocket. Like literally everyone in his pocket. He's got the whole SJC. He's got fucking everyone in his pocket.
Yeah, but he hasn't got all of the public in his pocket.
He doesn't have the public, but the public aren't the ones that are winning it for him. That's the problem. It's rigged. Obviously, it's rigged. He's winning it because he has all of the power in his pocket.
Well, he ran unopposed, I think, the last two elections, if my memory serves me right.
Grok says he'll run, but he'll quit the race. Really?
I would like to think, wouldn't it be great if the feds lifted him, Brad?
I hope the feds do something to stop him. What's good about the 2026 date is that it gives the feds time to move on what they're doing, right?
Yeah, it does. Although you'd want him out of there being as corrupt as he is, you want him out of there as soon as you can because he's
correct.
Every day is more damage.
Dejuna Perkins. I couldn't think of a fucking name. That's her name. She's a Dedham-based attorney with over 30 years of experience, including roles as an assistant district attorney and assistant attorney general. She has criticised Morris's office for a troubling pattern of missteps. Well, that's a nice way to put it. And emphasises the need for transparency and justice. And then there's also a Craig McClellan, a Cohasset attorney and former Suffolk County prosecutor. McClellan has expressed concerns about the integrity and objectivity of the investigation processes under Morrissey's leadership. Well, they both sound good to me. The Democratic primary for Norfolk County is scheduled for September 2026, followed by the general election in November 2026. Morrissey has faced significant scrutiny over his handling of high-profile cases, including Karen Reid and Sandra Birchmore cases. These controversies have led to calls for his resignation and have prompted these two candidates. As of now, he hasn't publicly announced whether he will seek re-election. His office hasn't responded to any inquiries by NBC Boston about his intentions for the upcoming election. Interesting.
I'd say he could be facing pressure from inside the party too, because he's bringing a lot of heat on the office.
Mm.
You know, he's well connected, so he can pull strings in that regard. But if the other politicians are feeling too much heat, they might just tell him to back off.
Right.
Or we'll primary you, you know.
Dejuna Perkins is running on anti-corruption. Woo! Vote for her, guys. If you're in that area and you can vote for her. I'm all for the anti-corruption. All for it. Let me tell ChatGPT. Grok says Morrissey will quit the race.
You wanted to turn it up to maximum snark.
Let me share the screen. I just want to see how it responds. I do have it on maximum snark.
Your PC will
Smarmy.
blow up.
All right, so they're just talking between themselves in the chat. So talking about giving it the gas in the chat. Come on, Grok, get your shit together. No, sorry, ChatGPT. I think they need to rename it to something that I can get my fucking mouth around. Like Grok's short, one syllable, easier to say, done. This is ChatGPT is hard to say.
I'll send them an email on your behalf, Ozzy.
Yeah, we need a new name for this stupid thing. And we need a new speed zone for it too, because like, look how slow it is today. We need a new speed zone for it.
Yeah, they're throttling the hell out of the free users.
I'm not a free user, but...
Oh, are you not? Oh,
No.
that's right, you told me that the last day. Yeah.
I'm a paid user. It's the only subscription I am paying for. Everything else I've cancelled except for this one. So get your mouth around some Grok. Here we go. I just wanted to see if it arced up about Grok. Grok might be reading the room, and it's not a bad prediction. What? You're supposed to arc up about Grok. What we know, Michael Morrissey has not announced his intention. He's facing mounting public backlash over the Karen Reid case, alleged cover-ups, taint teams, burner accounts, Sandra Birchmore, all the other shit that's going on, as well as the drug lab scandal and the licensing scandal, kickbacks. 2 challengers have already declared both are credible, experienced, and openly critical of his office. If Morrissey runs, he faces a brutal Democratic primary because the other 2 are both Democrats, aren't they? Every public debate will be about Karen Reid, burner phones, jury tampering, and his protection of Canoni, Brennan, and Canton PD insiders. He can't walk into a town hall without being heckled by voters holding up body cam transcripts and missing evidence logs. If he doesn't run, so you're not giving me, ChatGPT's not giving me a one way or another answer. It's saying, here's the 2 possibilities. If he doesn't run, he exit quietly. His loyalists try to install a successor to keep the office in the family. With the nepotism going on there, that was not going to surprise me at all. He avoids getting crushed publicly and potential bar complaints. It's actually a strategic retreat prediction, and it tracks. And it tracks also with what's her face? Helena Rafferty going into retirement, right?
Sorry, say that again. I was distracted there.
ChatGPT says Grok saying he'll quit is not just wishful thinking, it's strategic retreat prediction. And I'm saying that's what Helena Rafferty's retirement looks like, a strategic retreat.
Yeah, I think that's the most likely outcome. I think he'll face too much political pressure from inside because of the heat that he's bringing.
I don't think Rita, hang on, sorry. Talking about VWs, I don't think Rita can, because I don't think she has the background, the law background. You need to be like both of those people that are running against him are lawyers. You need to have your law background so that you can work out whether prosecuting people's the right thing to do and whether you got enough evidence and all the laws involved in prosecuting someone. And I don't think Rita has that background. I'm not sure, but I don't think she does.
I think Rita lost a bit of support there too, the way she kind of took a a right turn, she kind of backed off, pressuring the select board. I think that made a lot of people unhappy. So it'd be
Yeah,
interesting to see, but I personally, I don't think she's the right candidate for it.
I don't think she's got the support anymore. I think what happened was she ran over to Sean when everything got broken into two segments, and Sean took people with him. He took a bunch of people with him, and I think she
Yeah.
went with him. That's what people are upset about. Ripperita, I love her. I think she's bloody awesome for select board, for Canton select board. She's bloody
Oh,
awesome.
brilliant! Yeah. I loved Rita from the get go. I thought
Yeah,
she was all
I love her.
piss and vinegar, as they say.
All right, Olivia says, this is why when third-party culprits, i.e. McAlberts, all testify with some elaborate and contrived story about how they coincidentally and inexplicably didn't see the body on the front lawn when leaving 34 Fairview. It completely strains credulity. Here's a disinterested, non-McAlbert witness, Heather Maxon, who testifies like a normal human being, observant of their surroundings. Between Maxon, Nagel, and Dentuano, I can't even fucking say his name. These three witnesses all were observant of things on the front lawn and to the right of the roadway as they drove past it when leaving 34 Fairview. Notice how none of these witnesses provide some ridiculous story to explain why they were looking anywhere but where John's body would have been later found. So I do remember this little bit, but she was pretty honest, I think.
When you left, did you drive by the SUV?
We did.
When you drove by, what were you looking at?
My surroundings.
Okay. What did you see?
I saw the female that I saw beforehand, also still in the car,
Where did you see her?
in the driver's side.
Was there, at that point, any lights on inside the car?
There was, yes.
Which
The
light?
dome lights.
Was the driver's side door open?
Not to my knowledge.
Did you see anybody else inside the SUV?
I did not.
Was there anybody else inside the SUV?
You didn't see anybody inside the car?
Besides the driver, no.
Okay, next question.
Do you know whether there was anybody else inside?
There you go. Let's do a little look-ski. Let me have a look here. 2021 Lexus 570 interior. Is it a dome light is what I want to know. It's not even a dome light. Is that just what you guys call them because they're an interior light? It's actually a flat light. It's on a little bit of a curve. 2021 Lexus. Hang on, I'll put it up on the screen for you as soon as I find a decent view of it. This is probably it. Let's have a look. $145,000 from MBS Automotive. Shit, it's still very expensive. Okay, what's that light? There it is in the front. Nope, that's it. Oh, it's halfway between the front and the back. Hang on. Let's get the front. That's the back. This is the luxury. This is the super luxury model with a sunroof. So it's not going to show you the roof. It's not going to show you the light that we want. Stop there. That one. Go back. Do you see it's not a dome light at all? For fuck's sake. Stop it. Open this image in a new tab. That'll stop it. Share tab. Because it's got a sunroof there, I'm not sure it's going to be the same, because I don't think Karen's has got a sunroof. It looks like the way mine is in my Toyota, they're here. They're like pointed lights, like you have in the airplane, basically. But I'll try and find a better picture. Yes, she's still paying for it. It's 145 grand and she's still paying for it. Dome or domed? You do call them dome lights, or is that a specific type of light? Because these are not dome lights. These are directed energy beams. No. I think you get what I'm talking about. Let me find a better picture. A 2021 Lexus. Let me see. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, see, I'm not seeing a so here's another. It's all squished up, man. But even squished up, let me show you this page. Even squished up, it's still not a dome light. Look, there's still a flat. It's still a flat light. So I could actually just be misinterpreting what you guys call a dome light. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's not a dome light. Exactly. I think it's just a misinterpretation of what one thing is over another, right? Obviously. Hang on, where did that picture go? Open that up. Dome lights mounted in the center of the automobile ceiling. Dome lights illuminate the interior of a vehicle, they often become active when opening and closing a door. That's the thing we're talking about. All right, it's just what you guys call a dome, that particular type of light there. It's a type of interior light that gets its power from the electrical system when you open and close a door. Gotcha. There you go. So it's actually a really flat looking thing, right? So it's not a dome, which is dumb. Why do you call something a dome when it's not a dome? Like, please. Exactly, F1. It's an overhead light, right? A cabin light.
Yeah, it's an overhead light. It used to be the one that on older cars it would be in the middle of the car, just
And it
over
would
the
be a
seats.
dome. And it would be a dome.
Yeah, so that's where the name would have originated.
Mm.
But the modern cars now, they've lights all over the bloody place.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's just the bottom picture's skewed. It's skewed. It's actually in the center. But the picture is skewed because someone doesn't know how to put pictures on a website. Search a 65 Buick Sabre dome light. Go to Bob. All right, hang on. I'll do that. I'll do what you said because I actually imagine what we're going to see is a proper fucking dome light, right?
Well, it just used to be called the interior light because that's all it was. There was only the one light inside.
Yeah, exactly what I thought, Beta Bob. Exactly what I thought.
What is it, Bob? A disco ball, is it?
A disco ball. That's the cover, and there's the actual light. It is actually a round dome. Yeah. Well, there you go. Interesting. Good little exercise. I just wanted to check because you hear shit being said, and then you need to go check. Like, did Lally put that in their head, or is that actually what it is? So it was a dome when they named it, but it is no longer. It's all different shapes now. So
yeah.
And the visor lights are makeup lights, right? Yeah, I don't think we call them dome lights in Australia, so that's why it was confusing to me.
Yeah,
But
we don't call them that here either.
Just an
the
interior light.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All right, so Olivia's always got really interesting posts. Let's see what
I
else
love
we
her.
got.
I think she's one of the best posters on the whole thing.
Yeah, she always has very interesting posts, and she gets right into stuff. The Commonwealth wants you to believe that John O'Keefe's body was outside for 5.5 hours and covered in 6 inches of snow, according to Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts. They can't explain, however, how the blood and blood droplets were fresh enough in the snow to both be seen and secure said samples and were on top of the snow. What a difference. What difference does waiting 5 minutes for proper sterile forensic containers to arrive make when those blood droplets would have already presumably been there for nearly 6 hours? Precisely, Olivia. The fact that there were blood droplets and blood samples at the scene that were fresh enough or new enough for investigators to even be able to see and secure them suggests that John's body wasn't put out at the scene, wasn't put out in the yard until closer to the time frame when he was found. There's a lot of evidence of this.
I started with low speed and began whisking away the snow. And then I saw how it was uncovering those pink spots were becoming brighter red. So I verified it was frozen or coagulated blood at that time. And so out of the abundance of caution, I decided that that was something we may want to collect.
Why did you want to collect that?
Just out of abundance of caution, DNA.
Why do you want to collect blood from a crime scene? Like, fuck me, Brennan.
I expected it to be John's DNA.
And
I wasn't going to get a second chance at it. It was either collect it or never have it.
Were you making quick decisions under these circumstances?
Yes.
Did you ask somebody to get a container to put the coagulated blood in?
I ended up getting the containers.
Where did you get them from?
I got them from Lieutenant Kelleher, who lived in the neighborhood.
Right across the road with a camera facing right where the forward edge was. So interesting. They know people are dumb. Oh, he acted so proud of it. Exactly, Carol. Like, fuck me. Why didn't Alessi cross Guarino, do you think? Because Guarino's only there entering evidence right now. If you're going to cross him, he's got to be doing more than entering evidence. So he's coming back.
That was another thing that came out too, is that motion. The defence aren't allowed to question him on the Birchmore case.
Oh, true.
They're not allowed to bring it in.
That's
bullshit. It is bullshit,
because
that totally impeaches him as a detective and as a witness.
If you're sitting in a crowd here and a referee makes a bullshit call, everyone goes, bullshit. The whole crowd goes off, bullshit. That's what I just heard in my head when you said that.
Yeah. It is. It's absolute bullshit.
Mm.
You know, Karen's having her hands tied behind her back at every turn.
Yep. I think that the more Bev does, the more overturnable the whole case is. It's just like Karen's not going to be in jail. If she does, it's only going to be 30 days tops.
There is no way any jury's going to unanimously convict her. None. Not a hope in hell.
No.
So the worst case scenario to me is a mistrial again. And even at that, watching all of the experts on their opinions of it, they reckon that'll be it done, because there's no way people are going to want to wait on the hook for another year, especially witnesses and stuff.
Well, they're not taking into account that it's Massachusetts either. So Massachusetts tried that other Massachusetts, the massacres, they tried the other chickie. I can't think of her name. It always fucking jumps out of my head. There's actually a Supreme Court ruling named after her. It was only last year, the fourth time they tried her, they got a conviction. They just kept going back until they got the conviction. I just can't think of her name off the top of my head. She was an EMT. She was gay and she was married to a chick. She come home and found her wife dead at the bottom of the stairs in the basement. Something about paint splashed around. I can't think of the case name, but I thought if I give enough clues, the chat's going to fill me in. But they tried her like 4 times. I think it was.
Yeah, it's still hard to see it between political pressure because of the spotlight that's on this case.
Mm.
It could go the other way. They might double down, But I personally, I would think that they'd call it a day.
F-bombs. No way they found 12 people in that town that don't think Jen's a K-U-N-T.
They don't. It's like anywhere. They don't like blow-ins.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole fucking case is bullshit.
It is bullshit. I hope if it is a mistrial, they just drop the charges. But it'd be nice to see her getting an acquittal, that it's done once and for all. There's a line drawn under it,
Let me see if I can find you a crowd shouting bullshit. You'll laugh when you hear it because it's exactly how I just said it. Let me see if I can find one. Fucking ads. God damn it. Fucking ads. Let's see. Is this one? Okay, that's the opposite. That's someone kicking a goal. See if Michelle can find us a link for it. Are you there, Michelle?
I'm here. I'm trying to find it for you.
Yeah, so you've heard it. You know what I'm talking about. I thought maybe being from Ireland, you should probably have the same thing going on, right? It usually happens in football. It could be cricket.
It's American football.
Crowd chant bullshit. Here we go. Yeah, it is. It's Australian. So share this tab. Yeah, so that you guys can hear it. Here we go.
Free kick, Sandy. Yep, coming back. Madden tried to use the one hand and pushed with the other. And we've got the Carlton Choir down in front.
Check out the one I sent you there.
Pardon?
Check out the one I sent you there. It's a little bit clearer.
Okay, Americans do it different. Hang on, wait. Americans do it different to the way we do it. Ours is definitely a chant. Bullshit. Oh, fuck, what have I done with the tab now? This one?
There's nobody better a football chance than the English.
Right. I like it.
Yeah, you'll have to cut that now and put it on a little button.
But you see how it's like different between the two? Like find the UK one because you'll find it's different again. But I like the American one. It's the 3 taps in between. So
English, let's see. English crowd chants bullshit, and the first thing that comes up is Trump says bullshit. What is it with Trump?
Why are you telling us Trump shit? We don't fucking care about Trump. Move on. Google.
Bears American. There's no English ones chanting that I can see.
That's not how we do it. That's not how we do it in Massachusetts, Mr. Jackson.
I'll allow it. Yeah, it's all American football, chance, or hockey.
Because America doesn't call it football, do they? They call it
Soccer.
Hang on, sorry. UK doesn't call it football, do they? I don't know. You got to know better than I do. I can't remember who calls what.
Soccer is football is the Americans call it soccer. The English and Irish and the rest of the world call it football. And Americans call their own game that they run around the field carrying the ball with and kick it twice in the match football.
And then Australian AFL is different again.
Yeah, it's Australian football is very like Irish football or Gaelic football.
Right.
There used to be a series every year. They would one year be in Ireland, the following year they would go to Australia. It was called Compromise Rules. It's a fantastic game, very physical.
Right. Well, there you go. That's what I think this trial is. It's complete bullshit.
There's a great English football chant, the referee's a wanker.
So say again, the referee's a wanker. It's a chant.
Yeah, it's a massive one from soccer. Here you go. Why is it not playing? Oh, I have it muted.
I can hear it in the background. I can hear
It'd be
it
a great
playing.
one to play. Oh,
I can hear it playing in your background.
it must be spelling out of my headphones.
Whoops. It's up on the screen now.
The referee's a wanker. 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 The referee's a wanker.
There you go.
That's a great one to play whenever you're unhappy with a decision of Ev's.
Right, the referee's a wanker. Foosball, human foosball. American football, oval, brown ball. Soccer, round with it's black and white, right? So in Australia, it's the same. The oval brown ball is the football, and the black and white ball, round ball is the soccer. It is the same,
Yeah, well,
but the games are different.
The colours of the balls are all different now. It used to be once upon a time they were all white, or if it was snowing, they would be orange.
Right. It's too fucking confusing for me. I don't watch any sport, but I do like.
Hand egg carry ball is what I call American football.
Right. I do enjoy the chants from the crowd, but the crowds are hilarious. Some of the things they come up with, and we've got some newer ones I noticed in cricket that I hadn't seen before because I don't watch cricket very often at all. In fact, I don't watch any free-to-air TV, but I did notice there's some new cricket ones. I'll show you one. I'd never heard of this one before. Shame on Aussie, he's always cheating. The first one was the convicts are over there. Border is a wanker.
There's a few of them here, the funniest football chants in England. But so for some of them, you'd need to understand things like the offside rule and that.
Right.
If you don't understand it, you won't get it. You won't understand the humor behind it.
Right. Yeah, it's very much local humor, right? Like if you live in the country, you get it. Or you don't.
They will absolutely crucify you from the stands, and they're very quick. An event will happen today, and it'll get headlines in the newspaper, and that evening on the stands, they'll have a chant made.
Right.
I think there's a little committee of them somewhere that write these chants.
Right. I found another one. These are also these are also like relieving to listen to, and in line with the court case that we're looking at. Wait for it. There's booze. Oh shit. It's pretty cool. That's what I think of you, Bev. So have you all filled out the form? Let me plug the form for you today. Let me get the link, shorten the URL, and paste. I've got the short URL. I'll put it in the. I'll pin it to the chat.
Oh, okay. I was just about to drop it in. Good on you.
Pin. Have you all filled out the Bev scorecard?
How do you shorten the? You'll have to show me how to do that.
I've got access to the back end of the form. You probably can't.
Okay.
You don't have access to my Google account to do it. So, but yes,
I think I deleted the bookmark for it. Doesn't matter.
But yeah, it's there if you want to click it. So go vote for Auntie Bev, boys and girls. Okay. Bob says, when I was stationed in West Germany, the NFL started a European league. I offered to take a family of Germans to see the Frankfurt team. We had a great time. Nice.
Yeah, there was an Irish team there too in Belfast.
I love the cricket crowds when we play England. It's hilarious. It is they get so butthurt.
The most boring game ever invented, cricket. 4 days to play a bloody game. Jesus, I thought baseball was bad.
Right, cricket and tennis. Can't fucking stand either of them. If you've got to make me watch some sport, which I fucking hate watching all of them, but if you're gonna make me watch one, it's got to be, I don't know, AFL or something, rugby league.
Nah, the best game to play to watch on a field is an Irish game called hurling.
What's it called?
Hurling.
Hurling.
Hurling. Hurling.
Hurling.
Yeah. It's like as Jason
Sounds like
said in
fun.
the movie. Yeah, it's basically butchery on a field. It's mayhem. It's dicks with sticks is what we call
it. There you go. Sounds interesting. Show us a demo of what hurling looks like.
I'll get it for you here now.
And then we have to sign off because I got to go do some groceries, man.
Kevin Costner went to see it one day, and he's a diehard fan
now. There you go. Kevin
a lot
Costner,
of people do. It's the fastest field game in the world, field sport.
Kevin Costner's got his own rugby team here in Australia, I think.
There you go.
If I got the right person.
Yellowstone, Kevin Costner. JFK, shooting, movie.
Hang on. Share. I turned it off. The share screen's off. Hang on. Oops. Come back, share screen. Come back. There we go. This is the game. What's in their hand? The thing they're hurling with.
It's called a hurl. HURL. The rules are very simple.
Whack them in the head and get the ball.
And the ball is like stone. It's a solid piece of wood wrapped in leather.
Yeah.
The first time I played it, it nearly broke my hand.
Wow. And so they're like they're just hurling those sticks into people's heads.
They
People
don't
get-
actually injure themselves. It looks worse than it actually is. It's a relatively safe game.
They throw tree stumps.
It's helmets now have become a requirement. They all have to wear helmets now for safety. The seniors don't; they have the choice. But at all other levels, they have to wear helmets.
He owns the rabbits in Sydney. There you go. I knew it was one of those. Well, there you go. That game looks pretty freaking hectic. I'm too much of a wussy. I wouldn't play it. Look at that. Smack him in the head with that racket.
It's unbelievable. Can you imagine being a goalkeeper now and one of them balls coming at you at 150 or 160 miles an hour?
No.
It's an amazing game. It really, really is.
Whoa. See, whacked him in the head with that stick. Oh, no.
Oh, they do. They hit each other in the shins and click each other in the elbows. And there's a lot of dirty play in it.
Yowza. Never seen it before. It's good to learn other people's cultures, but hey. Wow.
That's a great game. It's so fast. There's no boredom in it. It's hard to watch on television because the ball's so small. And it
Right.
moves so fast. The camera has to pull back, so you kind of lose sight of the ball.
Yeah. It's all blurry because
But
everything's
you can
going
see
so
the
fast.
goalposts now. The goalposts are very similar to the Aussie rules. We're only missing the two outer poles.
Yeah, right. There you go. Interesting game. I like the Irish or Scottish sport of carry the wench on your back across the field. Is that real?
The wedge. Carry the wedge. Yeah, it's called the wife carrying. They have a festival up in Norway or Sweden. It's the wife carrying festival.
All right, now I'm going to look it up. The wife carrying festival. Wife carrying.
Yeah, I think it's Norway or Sweden.
Carrying festival. Let me have a look. No way. It's real.
You thought it was making it up.
It's Scandinavian festival. Interesting.
Yeah, look at it. It's hilarious.
Hang on.
Me and
let's
you,
go back
Michelle.
to it.
We'll meet in Scandinavia.
Annual wife carrying contest, Scandinavian festival, Bud Lake, New Jersey, is it?
That's New Jersey, yeah.
Really?
But there's the famous one is somewhere in Scandinavia. I think it's in Norway or Sweden. It's hilarious.
Oh my God, they're going to jump over shit with them as well.
Oh, yeah.
No way. Well, my partner would absolutely kick ass with that game because I'm only like 4 foot nothing. I'm actually 5 foot nothing, but just under 5 feet.
You're big enough for us, Tina.
That shit's real. That's real shit. I'll show you a funny one that we do in Australia. Wow. I can't believe that shit's real. Look at the way he's carrying it.
Oh, Glenn's back.
His wife is nearly twice the size of him, this poor guy. Oh no. That's some crazy shit.
Yeah, you have the cheese rolling competition. That's another one that's roll big fucking wheels of cheeses down the side of a hill.
Right. Let me show you this one when I get past the ads.
People will make a festival or an event out of anything if they can think of it.
This is freaking crazy. Well, that's right. There's a festival for everything, right?
Oh, yeah, if you can think of it, there's a festival or there's an event for it somewhere.
I remember seeing the pumpkin throwing festival. I don't know which country that is. I think it's Scotland. Or is it Scotland or
Didn't Modern Family do a thing on that, the TV show?
Modern Family?
Made a big catapult in a football field to shoot pumpkins.
Yeah, but that's actually a sport. I just forget where. Like, it wasn't just for the fun of TV. It's actually a sport. I don't remember where though. Let me show you this one.
The tomato one in Spain is unreal. Have you ever seen that one?
Nope. See this river? Can you see the river? That's actually a river. It only flows once a year in the wet season. But this is a river that flows through the middle of Alice Springs. It's called the Todd River. And so this, because it's dry until it rains, this is called the Henley on Todd Regatta. But so instead of having actual boats, it's boats like Fred Flintstone style boats. So that's just a whole bunch of boats, basically everyone getting ready for the regatta. But it's held in the riverbed, so you can see the river goes along like that. Excuse me. Even the army gets into the game and builds their boats.
So it's like a raft competition, is it? Raft race?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do them here too. They're great fun.
Fred Flintstone style. But it's just such a big thing in Alice Springs. Like everyone goes, it's a full day regatta. I think it's actually a couple of days. Can't remember how long they hold them for.
The problem here we have in Europe, especially Ireland and the UK, insurance companies have killed a lot of these things.
Right.
Legal requirements make you have insurance, and then the insurance companies won't insure you, so that kills it. Stone dead.
Right. Well, they're still holding these, but I'm pretty sure that the body that they're held under sells the tickets for whatever the price the insurance comes to or whatever. So, but yeah, it's a bit of fun. Like I ran in the race. I ran in the boat race when I was in like, I don't know, year 8, I guess. First year of high school or something. It's kind of like... Sorry.
Go ahead. No, sorry. Go ahead.
It's not an easy race when everyone's tall and you're the shortest one in the class and you're all holding like a bar in front of you. So I'm like holding it over my head. They're all holding it in front of them. So yeah. But anyway, they've turned it into a lot of different races. So, you know, egg and spoon races and all sorts of shit.
Yeah. We used to do a thing here years ago at the festival, the local festival called It's a Knockout. It was a TV show many years ago. And you it's just great fun. A lot of water, slides, inflatables. It's like an obstacle course. It's very funny. But again, insurance killed it.
Michelle, they banned dwarf tossing in Australia.
That's still a thing. I don't know if anybody's ever watched that comedy show, Life's Too Short. Warwick Davis that starred in Willow. Ricky Gervais wrote the show, but it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen on TV.
And they have dwarf throwing in it, obviously.
Well, Warwick is a dwarf, and he runs it's based on his real life, but it's kind of hamming it up, as the man says. He runs an agency for dwarves in real life to get them jobs in acting and stuff. But he gives them all in the comedy show. He gives them all the shit jobs and takes all the good jobs for himself.
Right.
It's very, very funny. It's very funny.
There you go. Damn ads. Always with the fucking ads. But anyway, that's the Henley on Todd.
Did I drop that tomato one in for you, did I?
Oh, I don't know. Did you?
I did. Now, this is mental. I would love to go to this.
Oh, this already reminds me of the color one in India.
Not Diwali, what do they call it?
This is in Spain.
Yeah, it's a tomato growing region, and they take the end of the crop or something, the stuff they don't sell, they take it into the village. And people come from all over the Europe and that to it, and they just go bananas throwing tomatoes at each other.
So it started over a dispute between two young farmers, two tomato farmers. So it escalated into a huge food fight. And so now they just have, look at the ground, there's smashed tomatoes all over the ground. Wow.
Yeah, it's mental. If I think it'd be great fun to go to that and the running of the bulls.
I'll bet you it's not fun once you get there. Oh my God, am I? I wasn't even sharing the screen. Bloody hell.
Oh yeah.
I thought we were all watching it, and we weren't. God damn it. They do the colour run at my grandy's school each year. Cool. I love that.
Yeah,
I can't even remember what the festival is in India with all the colours.
I looked it up the last day. It came up in conversation. I can't remember the bloody name.
Nice. Good one, F-bombs. Thanks.
Holly. It's called Holly.
160 tons of tomatoes gets thrown at this festival. Wow.
It's absolutely nuts. It's nuts.
Why don't they just send them to the starving kids instead of throwing them at each other?
They're not edible. They're tomatoes that are going off and they're not saleable.
So what's it called? The Holi Festival.
The Indian Colour Festival is the Holi, H-O-L-I.
H-O-L-I.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me find it.
They throw colour powder at each other and
H-O-L-I Festival.
Yeah.
A holy festival. I love it. I love that one. I would love to go to that one.
I don't know if you've ever seen the show An Idiot Abroad. Again, it's Ricky Gervais. A friend of his goes off on a kind of like a travel show, and they send him to India, and he takes part in this.
All right.
He's a bit of a grumpy. It's very funny.
Right. Each year the Holy Festival celebrates the beginning of spring with an explosion of colour. And it all ends up purple at the end of the day.
Seems to be all right.
What's the go with what is it? Is it flour or what?
It's coloured, it's chalk paint, I think.
Right.
Colour powders.
Chalk paint.
It doesn't say what it's made. It's pigment anyway.
Bright coloured powders and water in an enormous public celebration.
Yeah. As you're going through the streets and that, you see tables just in the middle of the street, and they have bowls of pigment, and you can just walk up and grab it and throw it at people. And people to pull you into their house.
Kids are going off. It's the last full moon in the lunar month. There you go. Interesting.
Yeah. There we go. Got a bit of international culture in tonight.
We did. Indeed, we did. All right, I got to go do some groceries. We got nothing left to eat.
Get some sleep. It's 5:30 here.
A face paint intervention. Well, colour me pink, says Glenn. No wonder ketchup is so expensive. Glenn's on the ball. You say tomato, I say take that.
Tomato.
All right, so we're done, guys. We're going to sign out. I got to go and get some groceries done so that we don't starve.
That's another bugbear. That's another bugbear of mine. Just while if I see it there on the screen, they're spelling tomato without the e at the end. And the same for potato. They don't put the e at the end.
Right. Don't do it.
Stop messing with the English language with these people. Let's kick off a culture war.
We'll have to throw colour flower bombs at you.
Fire away.
All right, guys. I got to go do some groceries. Thank you for the entertainment today, Kivy. Thank you, chat, for joining us. Hope we got hope we got all your venting off all your chests. We're done for another day.
All right.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.